No. It's a new feature. We'll be live.
We'll be live.
I love that you do this.
Yeah, that's Susie. Susie does that.
Yeah,
I don't know if she
yes.
still does it. I don't know. She must stop it. I have this effect on so many people. There's this huge cleric in Pakistan, Mufti Tariq Masood, and he used to say every time when he's giving a sermon, he would try to get something get a response from his audience, from his followers, and he would make them repeat after him whatever he says. So he would say, "Bolo bhai." Okay, what did I just say? So that's what I nicknamed him, Bolo bhai. Like, this guy's got, like, I don't know, 5 million subscribers or something, and he gets like 10 million views a month. So he found out that I've made that nickname of his, and he just doesn't say it anymore. I was like, why? It wasn't lethal or anything, but he'd be live.
Zagreus is asking, yo, where's Veedu? Veedu couldn't make it this week, but he will be here probably next week. We have somebody that wants to come up, but we're going to answer a Patreon question before we bring anybody up. By the way, today is freebie. Today is only one Patreon question. That means we're going to do a lot of questions in the live chat, especially the super chat. So feel free to use the super chats. But today is free. Today we answer non-Patreon question as well. And today we post a link for anybody who wants to come up. I will post a link as well.
Put it on Twitter then.
Yes, put it on Twitter.
Can I dare Muslims to come and have a chat with Armin and I?
Yeah, but you have to wait. Also, this guy, I think he has a camera. Like, should we make it a requirement that we see their camera before they come up? Because
show your face.
Show your face before we bring you up. We can't, like, we're not going to bring you up like that.
Yeah, show your face.
Yes.
I think they need to have this. They need to have this feature where we can disable the camera, because like some of the. Do you know this? Some of the, you know what they do sometimes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't give them any ideas. Yeah. So that's why we're not going to bring you up unless we see your camera.
Yeah, unless we see your face, we're not going to bring it up. We're not going to bring you up. I shouldn't lie, Lila. Oh, there you go. Turn it off. So you're not.
You might turn it on.
Yeah. You got to show us. You got to show us your face.
Yeah, you got to show us a face or something. Okay.
So we can track you down if you do anything wrong.
Yeah, we have a Patreon question by D. We need to answer this before we go to. Yeah. All right. So D is asking, thoughts on Netanyahu returning to power. I have two thoughts on this. One of them is what happened to the turnover on Arabs. So the turnover was high. So that shows a lot of Israelis like a right-wing government, because we went from the most secular, diverse government in Israel's history, all of a sudden swung right over to the other extreme, to the most right-wing religious government in Israel's history. Okay, like a government that was pretty secular and had Arabs in it as well, but now, like, no Arabs, extremely racist, extremely right-wing, and extremely religious government, the most religious government we have ever had in Israel's history, which is horrible. And it's partly because Arabs didn't show up. Arab Israelis didn't show up for elections. Now, I don't know what, I'm assuming it's because, I mean, they showed up last time and it worked, but this time they didn't participate because, like, they don't want to endorse the system and all of that. But, well, this is what you get when you don't show up. So that's one thought I have. And then second thought I have is this. This is part of a bigger trend globally. Okay, we are the world liberal order had a major win with Ukraine and the weakening of Putin's government, right? But the people who are in favor of liberalism should not be complacent, because we have had major losses, right? In Europe, Italy and Sweden are going full right-wing, right? So that's a major threat to the world liberal order, right? India is becoming more and more religious, the politics becoming right-wing and religious, right? China is still a major threat. And United States might, like, go right-wing when it comes to, I don't know if Trump is going to win or DeSantis is going to win, but that would be a major blow to the world liberal order, right? So we need to wake up, okay? So China is always a threat. China is actually both, China's economy is in favor of the world liberal order. China's politics is against world liberal order, right? So these are two conflicting powers that are working. So this is why we need capitalism to undo fascism, right? Capitalism is a force that kind of reduces the forces of fascism, because there's too much money to be made, and liberalism is the way to make it, right? So we'll see who wins in China. Is money or fascism? Which one is going to win? But there's that. But so this whole Israel thing, because Israel also going right wing, even though it's a smaller country compared to the European countries, going right wing is very dangerous to liberal order. China also is a major threat. China's politics. United States going right wing would be the greatest threat to the world liberal order. But Israel, even being a small country, is very significant going this right wing and religious, because it has a very, very huge effect on U.S. politics, right? So it carries a lot of weight, even though it's a tiny country. It has a huge effect. It being religious has a huge impact on global politics as a whole. So it's very dangerous. And I want to say that I have been talking to some atheists in Israel, and I can't reveal who because they haven't permitted me this. But I am trying to see if I could create a bridge, because this is something that we were trying to do a couple of years ago, but now with Israel going very religious, I'm going to try to finally get to do this and try to see if we could use Atheist Republic and Secular Jihadists, and maybe Heresy would be interested in that, in building some bridge with atheists in Israel and secularists in Israel, and see if we could highlight them, create movements there, bring attention to the movements, growing movements, because there are a lot of atheist and secular movements in Israel, but that don't get enough attention. And I think given how much Israel has a huge impact on the world politics, and it going religious and right wing, it's very important for us to try to encourage people to donate to them, to highlight them, to pay more attention to atheist and secular movements in Israel. So again, guys, I know a lot of people don't understand how much atheist and secular activism matters, but given that the world liberal order is mostly in many places in danger because religious movements, okay, the only place that world liberal order is not being challenged because of religion is in Russia and China. But if you look at almost everywhere else, which is in Israel, it's because of religion that the world liberal order is in danger. In the United States, it's because of religion that the world liberal order is in danger. In India, it's because of religion that the world liberal order is in danger. And the world liberal order is the main thing that is keeping peace and stability all around the world. So religion is threatening that. The stability that we have been enjoying ever since World War II. Okay, you guys think like there's war and destruction everywhere in the world. You have seen nothing. The world was a much more dangerous place before World War II. And religion is threatening this stability and this peace. So this is why, unlike what many people understand, atheist activism and secular activism is essential to people's lives and livelihood. Anyways, that's my rant. What do you think?
I have no idea. Like I mostly agree, but I'm just looking at some of the points here. For example, some people are saying, that capitalism is not necessarily liberalism. How would you answer that? Obviously, it's not, but that's not what you're saying either. I think it's probably best if you do explain that to these people. Why? Because people generally think that communism promotes secularism and liberalism and usually enlightened values, but when we see it in practice, that doesn't end up being the case. Communism more often than not leads to fascism, or more totalitarianism. I think that's probably a more appropriate word. But obviously, when you look at the economics and when you look at the social fabric, these two things are different, how they behave. And the best idea is that most liberal economies of the world are capitalist, or you could say they're mixed with some flavor of certain socialistic principles. Obviously, United States being being a major exception to that rule. But how do you explain that? Like, for example, these people saying stuff like that, or there was another one. Sorry, I want to show you. Where is it? I think it's gone. Oh, hang on. I think you had that. Where did that go? Yeah, someone said that capitalism is not equal to liberalism. So how do you answer that? Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, a great job in not listening. Capitalism does not equal liberalism. I did not say capitalism is liberalism, but capitalism helps with liberalism because liberty and democracy is the best way to make money. Okay. Fascism reduces the efficiency of markets. Okay. The reason why capitalism helps with liberalism and democracy is because there's too much money to be made for it to be stopped by fascism, right? Every time you see command economics, top-down order of markets, through fascism, markets do not work as efficiently. There's less money to be made. The allocation of resources are a lot less efficient than when it's happening through a market. When people are more free to make decisions, they make decisions that are more in line with their economic interests, and that's why countries' wealth grows faster because of democracy and liberalism. That's why, because liberalism and democracy is the best way to make money, capitalism encourages democracy and liberalism. Also, for example, if you look at China, China is too much connected to the global market, right? And this global market gets its security and stability from the world liberal order, right? So China cannot, as aggressively as Russia, challenge that because it's benefiting from that. China's economy is benefiting from the peace and stability that has been gained from the world liberal order. So it's challenging the standards and the way methods and the agreements that has been done through this order, basically challenges its own economy too much. Russia challenged that because it's a lot less of a economic powerhouse that China is, so it was less reliant on it, and also because Putin is a madman, so Russia was able to go and challenge that, and now it's suffering from it. But China is not interested in challenging this whole order as much, even though politically it might be interested, economically it's not interested, and that's why capitalism saves us from it going full on fascist, right? So there's that. Also, for anybody who says like a communist country are secular, has no idea about communism or history, because secularism doesn't mean for you to go anti-religion after religion. Secularism means that you let people. So if you stop like people from exercising their right to practice their religion peacefully, you're actually not being secular. You're being anti-secular. Secular doesn't mean that you make a country atheist or you make it non-religious. Secular means you have hands off. You let people practice their religion. So when you look at communist country and they're going after religion, that's actually in contradiction to what secularism allows you to do. It's against secular standards.
I agree. I think it's a common mistake people make, and this is why these labels, most of these labels, they overlap. There's intersectionality of all these labels, and people just tend to go, okay, I'm just a libertarian, and there you go. I'm totally opposite to a utilitarian. It just doesn't work that way. I mean, there's always these certain factors that keep going, that they overlap each other. I don't know, since non-Muslims are going to come, I don't know why they're so scared of us. I just don't understand why, like, what's the worst that's going to happen? Like, I mean, they don't even come to my Urdu shows anymore. They're just so nervous. They're so scared. I think they're just scared.
Yeah, they're scared. Guys, send the link to your Muslim friends.
Yeah, send it to your Muslim friends, your social media, your profiles, your Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Just said these two is quote unquote Islamophobes are sitting there. Go and have a chat with them, and put them in their places. So, but I don't think, they're just probably just scared. They're like, well, you've been refuted far too many times. That's another favorite thing of theirs. They just say, well, we've refuted you. No, you've just given your rebuttal, which is full of shit and nonsense. It doesn't mean that's an acceptable refutation or even a rebuttal for that matter. But anyway, so we have a complaint for you. Okay, sorry. Now let's just do this. How is world liberal order in danger because of India again?
Well, I mean, India is again, like China, is in favor of the world liberal order and also against it. Its economy is actually, India is moving in favor. Like India, fortunately, because of its economic interests and geopolitical interests, is getting closer to countries like United States or Japan or against China, and it's getting closer to world liberal order and strengthening it. So in that way, India is helping. The trend, however, that we're seeing is politics becoming more religious and more right wing, and therefore eventually and now having standards that is not in line with world liberal orders, and that makes them a more difficult ally in the future. Okay, because liberal countries want to be more allied with other liberal countries. So again, this is another dynamic which is playing in India. There's economics and religious right-wing politics working against each other, two different forces that are working against each other. Hopefully, money pouring, like the future of India economically, hopefully, is very bright, and that would have a liberating effect, hopefully, because as GDP per capita increases, people become more liberal because it's in their interest, because it makes more money. However, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. In general, it works more often than it doesn't. But we're hoping that India's economy growing would have that liberal effect on it. But right now, in the short term at least, it seemed like politics is moving right-wing and religious, and that's against liberal standards. That makes it a more, and if those standards have an influence on its foreign politics, that would make it a force against the world liberal order. We'll see though.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to this complaint.
Yeah, let's go to this complaint. Let's just talk about this. So this is Pakistan Defense Force, and it's a very shady icon or display photo or something. It's like some dude with a mask on. This is obviously not the COVID mask on. It's just it's like a special operation, and I don't want to be found out kind of thing. But it's a very polite message though. It's saying hello everyone and good afternoon. Haris Bhai, meaning Haris' brother, we need to ask Armin why he talked negatively about Pakistanis on few occasions. Now, I don't know what he means by that. First of all, if I had to judge by his channel, his account's name and his profile photo, I would have thought, he's some nationalist, a big Pakistan Army fanboy. But why is he calling me a bhai? Because I don't attract those people. So I don't know, maybe it could be trapped, but he obviously is upset because you might have said something about Pakistanis at some point. What did you say, Armin? Why are you being so bigoted towards my fellow compatriots?
I don't know if I said anything bad about Pakistanis. I said something negative about Pakistan, and that's because Pakistan is a shithole. Is that not accurate? Am I wrong about that?
Oh yeah, so it's just one of those loaded terms that people get triggered, even though they know that it is a bad place to live in. Yeah, even though but people love their countries. It's just gotta be.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's why it hurts. That's why it hurts when they turn into shitholes, because they love their country. If I go to my kitchen and if I find shit in my kitchen, I will also be upset because I like my kitchen. I don't say don't love your country. That's what, because you're I know.
But would you say your kitchen is a shithole?
Where is a shithole?
In your kitchen, like if there's shit there, would you say it's a shithole?
No,
you might actually say.
I would say there's shit in my kitchen.
Yeah, I think you would say.
Well, how about this? I'm Iranian and Canadian. Okay, so Iran is one of my countries. Okay, how about this? As an Iranian, I would say Iran is a shithole. There you go.
And people have realized that, and I think, and here's the point. Look, to be honest, I don't care. I'm just saying to Pakistan Defense Force, you ain't finding any nationalist fervor or sentiment here. Like if people say shit, well, prove them wrong. But there's a point to be made by Armin Navabi that if he says that Iran is a shithole, and when enough people realize that their country is a shithole, then they do something about it. Then they get up, then they stand up, and then they protest and they raise their voice and they say, no longer are we going to let these people keep our country a shithole. And that's what people are doing. And they're paying the price with their lives. And I wanted to ask you about this. That I read a news report that they've arrested some 15,000 protesters, if I'm right, but I don't know. Read the number. The number could vary by a significant deal. They passed a law where these the parliamentarians or whatever that kangaroo parliament is there, they say that execute them all, and they're saying 15 or 16 could be executed within a week or something. But then the fear is there could be there could be thousands of people who get executed. Well, what's the update on that? Pakistan Defense Force, we'll come back to that in a second. But just answer this question that I asked you, because I really want to know, and I want to take the clip out.
Okay, so the execution is not going to be 15,000. Okay, that would be the end of the Islamic Republic of Iran if they 15. No, I mean it was just the executions going up to 200 or 300 already would be the end of the Islamic Republic. That would bring people to the streets by the millions. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, there will be executions, of course, but not to 15,000. So it's ridiculous because there's 15,000 people arrested, and they're saying like we should execute every single one of them, and we know that's not going to happen. Well, not now. I mean, maybe in the 1980s that would happen, but now, if it happens today, that would be the end. Like the people would be like, okay, like every single person that was thinking about coming into the street and hasn't yet would come to the street. It would be, that would not happen. And they know that's.
So is it just another one of the scare tactics where they're just saying that just to discourage people because the protests are still ongoing?
Yeah, the protests are still ongoing, and it's let me be clear. I'm not saying these people are not murderers and bloodthirsty. They already killed like more than 400 people and 50 kids. They have killed 50 kids. They have killed 50 kids so far. 50 kids. Okay, so that's how bloodthirsty these people are. Okay, but the reason why they said that is because a lot of pro-regime people have been saying that why is the government not doing more to stop the protests? Let me actually unhighlight this so I can talk about this. Why is the government not doing more? Like a lot of the pro-regime people are like, execute them all, shoot them all in the street. Why is the government treating these protesters with kids' gloves, which is ridiculous because they killed so many people already. But the government does deny the fact that they killed innocent people. The government hasn't even admitted to one single one of them, a single one of them. Every single one of them, like, oh, this person died, jumped from the high rise. This person was bitten by a dog. This person had a heart attack. So now when the Iranian people, protesters, are killing government officials, like I've seen videos of like them like killing government officials and armed forces in the street. And they're like, oh my God, look at him committing a suicide. That's so sad. Like Iranian people are making fun of that. Like, oh my God, oh no, he's having a heart attack right in the middle of the street. And you can see like people are beating him to death. Like they're making fun of the government narratives because like you say that when you kill our people, you say they're committing suicide or bitten by a dog. So we do the same to you. And like there was one guy that was like killed, like the people left him dead in the middle of a highway, and like people were making fun or say like, oh no, he look at him, he fell from a high building, but even though he was in the middle of a highway. So
he did what Putin does.
No, but guys, I'm not, by the way, YouTube, I'm just describing what's happening in Iran. I'm not like talking about encouraging anybody to commit violence. I'm just describing what's happening. Okay. But so a lot of the pro-regime people are demanding the representatives in the parliament, which is called the Majlis, to do more because this parliament is the most right wing, like the most hardline parliament that Iran has had for a while, right? So they represent the part of Iranians who are pro-regime and are hardliners. So they look at their constituents and they're like, they don't care about the rest of Iranian people. They care about their base, which is the hardliners and very religious people. And they're like, oh, kill more of them, execute more of them. So because they want to make them happy, they want to act like, they want to show their constituents that we are like, look at us. We're telling the government, like we are angry at the government too. Like most Iranians are angry at the government because they're killing people. This side people are angry at the government because they're killing more people. And they're like, yeah, we're like putting the government under pressure, like execute every single one of them in prison, which is a really bad look for the regime because now as parliament, which is supposed to be representing the people, is now demanding for more executions, right? So that's a game. It's a political game of narratives that is being played to show like they're tough and strong. That's what's happening.
Yeah, well, let's hope this regime is toppled before they shed any more innocent blood. But I'm shocked because I remember when this started happening back in September, when Masih Alinejad was killed. We've been talking ever since about that, and I was always worried about that it's eventually going to lose steam, and people. But I saw a video on Masih Alinejad's Twitter feed. I follow it quite regularly, and then it's still happening. There was thousands.
It's turning into a war zone. It's actually escalating. I thought it was going to die down slowly. It's now escalating. It's escalating to the point where now the other side is losing soldiers. Like they're dying, even though the people side doesn't have any guns and stuff.
We're
getting
overpower them. They're
they're
outnumber them and
overpowering them.
overpower them. Yeah.
Look at I can't show you most of the video. Harris, let me show you let me show you after the stream the videos that I can't show you here, okay?
Right.
Because they're like beating them and they're taking off their pants and then letting them run bloody and butt naked in the street, okay, with their pee-pees
penises,
out,
shalongs hanging out.
Yeah, because they know that's like that embarrassment is worse than death.
Is it also possible, because obviously, as you said, like the government is not going to kill 15,000 people, but also at the same time, the Iranian protesters or people are not going to be able to kill every single revolutionary guard. But do you think, is it possible the mutiny is on the cards? Is it possible that people may say, like these guards may say, you know what, screw this, I'm not going to die, because now they're also worried about it. They're also scared that, hang on, I could be lynched by an angry mob.
They're coming and saying it publicly and transparently. They say, like, we used to shoot and they run away. Now we shoot and they charge at us. They're saying that publicly. They're like,
so when are they going to flip that? Do you think they're going to flip at any minute? Like, is it possible? Can we actually now think about it?
Yeah. Okay. So people have this.
I don't want you to be overly optimistic. I want you to be a bit realistic. Keep your emotion in check.
Okay. The actual answer is that it could happen tomorrow, in 2 years, in 5 years.
But
there's no, or even more. Like there's no. It's kind of like it's been described, kind of like putting an axe to a tree, and you don't know which one of these hits. Like
bring it down.
Is going to make you just know you have to keep going at it, and eventually it will fall, but you don't know which one of them. Like when you hear the cracking, like eventually, like it could be 48 hours before you know, it's coming down. But
is it fair to say that a year ago, or I think the last set of protests happened in 2019 or 18, at that time I think you were pretty confident that nothing's going to come out of that. And I was saying that, maybe not this time, but in the next set of protests it will. And then we probably thought at the same time that maybe we'll need 3 or 4 more sets of protests. But now
I said nothing is going to happen unless something major changes. And something major changes.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So my point, but you even saying this time around that it could actually happen tomorrow, it means this is something that was unheard of or unimaginable in the last set of protests. We thought that the regime was so strong that there's nothing could bring it down. But now it's like, hey, sorry, man, I'm on your side. Imagine God throws his gun down and said, I'm on your side. I've got nothing to do with the regime. That is more likely now.
I have videos of one of them being beaten, and he was like saying, like, I'm not even with them. Like, it's like so humiliating. But the chances have increased significantly to the point that I can't even imagine this regime lasting. Like, I cannot even imagine. Like, I'm not saying it wouldn't happen. I just say I can't imagine it, right? But there are a lot of signs within the regime that shows that they don't want to. There a lot of them defecting, and a lot of them are disobeying commands. Like they're getting commands to suppress the protests, and they're just not acting like they didn't get a command, right? And also there is something that we didn't know that is now evident, is that the regime was bluffing about its power, okay? Because the regime was like, every time there's a protest, they only send a fraction of their forces to suppress a protest, and if they could bring, like, they have so much more military power, and they could crush the protest anytime they want. Okay, now after 3 months of protests, it's clear that actually they have used everything they got, because they wouldn't just let 3 months of protests happen and their people died. Like some of their top people have died through these protests. This is not something that the regime could be like, oh, we could just clean this up if we wanted to, but we're just letting it go. Sure. Like they're not, obviously they are incapable of cleaning this up. So that idea of them having a lot of power in reserve that they could use anytime is now a theory that is completely out the window. This is everything they can do. Like people are like, oh my God, this is actually their limit. They're bringing children. They're arming kids as a way to suppress protesters, which just shows like, oh my God, you guys are actually running out of manpower. We didn't know you had so little manpower. But let me show you how bold people are coming. This is one of the only few videos that I could show you, because everything else I want to show you about how bold people are getting will get us censored on YouTube. Like I can't show it to you. It's too bloody and too brutal. Okay. But look at this. Okay. So we have had these Basiji kids going after women for the past 40 years and harassing them. Okay. Look how everything has flipped now. Just look at this. This is one of those Basiji kids who's trying to like religious police people who weren't plain clothes and go and tell people to be Islamically moral and stuff. Look, this guy tried to do the same thing to this girl, but now look at this.
He's been grabbed by a woman. By the... Now let me put a book on you.
Oh, look what he did. So what he does, the Basijis, when they notice that somebody from the protesters is doing something wrong, they go and remove the number from the car, the license plate number from the car, as a way to go and report them like, oh, I have this was the person that did something wrong. So she got out of the car and she started beating the guy. She started beating the morality police guy who took him. They're like somebody's like, let him go. She was like, why should I let him go? He removed the plate number.
So he took the plate number.
Oh, like, why are you afraid?
So they can come and harass her.
Yeah.
So they can come back and harass her, or just
look. People are saying let him go. She's like, why would I let him go?
Why are people saying let him go? People should be like, oh,
because
there you go.
Some people are like against violence and stuff, but he's like, I'm not gonna let him go. And like she's asking him, why are you afraid? Why are you afraid? He's afraid.
He's just a kid himself.
Yeah, look at his face.
Where's your beard? Where's your beard? Armin, that's the younger version of you.
Look at him. Look at him. He cannot imagine. He's like, what? I did not. This is not what I signed up for. Look at him. Like these women are fierce.
They told me that I will have power and I can harass women, but whoa, I'm being beaten up here.
Oh my God. Look at this guy.
Okay, this is just satire. We're not condoning any violence on YouTube. We're just reviewing a video. No harm's done. Everything's fine. But
we're just reporting what's happening.
We're just reporting what happened, and yeah. We're not laughing.
Zagros is here. Should we?
Zagros, Zagros, brother.
Zagros, hi. Oh yeah, guys, hit the like button. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Before we go into Zagros, so I want to talk to this one. So we just basically just spoke about it and I'll stitch up with this rest of the rest of the clip with this bit. So he's basically saying that Pakistan has a lot. Yeah, okay, maybe we have certain elements which are shitty, but Pakistan also has a lot of music, culture, history, a lot of diversity, which is endangered, by the way, the Hindus and Christians of Pakistan, but never mind. But Armin makes it like we have no culture. How do you respond to that, Armin Navabi?
Well, first of all, I say Iran also has a lot of culture, a lot of music, and a lot of history. That doesn't.
Our culture is older than yours, though, by the way. We're the birthplace of civilization, the Indus civilization.
Sure. Actually, okay, I'm not a nationalist, but actually the birthplace of civilization.
Syria?
Okay, sure.
No, there's Indus.
No, Bain al-Nahrain, which is like the in Iraq, which is part of the Islamic Iranian Empire.
Fair.
You can have sure, you can have that if you want. I don't care. I don't care about nations.
But Indians keep telling you that you need to go back to your Persian roots.
Okay, that's actually a fair point. Like you're talking about India and Pakistan, which is like
the real India is in Pakistan right now. It was named Indus, an Indus River in Pakistan.
So actually, the Iranian Empire and the Indian Empire, which is civilization, along with China and Egypt, were the four main places in the world where civilization has started, right? But look at most of them, other than China, the three of them are shitholes. The three other ones are shitholes, right? So you talking about the fact that Pakistan had music, culture, and history, it's the same thing with Iran. That doesn't stop me from calling Iran. Currently, Iran is a shithole, even with its beautiful music, beautiful culture, and long history, ancient history. Right? It's currently a shithole. And also, the reason why I said Pakistan doesn't have its own music and culture and history, because that's India's music and culture and history. Okay,
and we don't like to admit that we're Indians.
Yeah. So yes, you have a lot of music, a lot of culture. Wait, hold on.
If you want to think of it, you have microcultures like within the larger borders.
Yes.
And when you
true.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, true. Pakistan has a culture separate from India, okay? But most of that culture, the vast majority of Pakistan's culture that is not from its Indian culture is Islam. Vast majority of it, right? Anything that makes Pakistani culture separate from Indian culture, I mean, more than 90% of that is Islamic culture. Is that not? Okay, so that's shit culture.
No, I think it's different. I wouldn't put a percentage on that because it's difficult to say because we have a lot. No, probably can't even say that because Pakistani Islam is very different from the Arab Islam. And then we have a lot of elements in our culture which are deeply enshrined or embedded in the Indian or it comes from Indian culture, like beliefs in magic and superstition, and a lot of that, even though in some cases it is directly opposite to some Islamic beliefs. But so I think it's a bit of both. But the main problem here is, for example, like what this guy is saying, this is another very common fallacy people and Pakistan Defense Force. This is probably the reason why. Now, your attitude is actually very shitty as well, and this is probably the reason why the world is never going to respect your country, is because majority of Pakistanis actually genuinely believe. They say we're not, half of Pakistan is not of Indian descent. I would say 99% of us are of Indian descent. 99% of them. None of them have this. What do you call it? None of them have done this ancestry, the DNA test or whatever. Even some of the lighter skinned ones, like, because they like to believe this. They like to believe that, we are Pakistanis, are slightly have a lighter skin than the Indian counterparts. Again, I'm just saying the common notion that they have, as pathetic as it might be. But they said, that's because they are Indians and we are Arabs. First of all, as if Arabs are
wow.
They do say that. It's a major belief.
This is racism.
It's a major belief. Oh yes, it's a major.
So wait, so racism is also part of Pakistan's culture.
Big, and they're proud of that. They're massive. They are very proud of that. And for example, so there is no evidence to suggest that 80%, 90%, or 70% of us are Arabs or from Middle East or nothing. So how they go by is by the surnames, by caste surnames. So yeah, it's possible that when Muslims did come here, Muslims came here in a very, they were in few thousands, okay? So even when they were ruling or whatever, like the Mongols or whatever, they were in few thousands. But they married local women. So local women, so you might have lost their name, but you still have their DNA in you. And then over a number of generations, the very tiny little sperm of some Arabian Arab dude who had sex with our great grandmother. When we look at our DNA, it is negligible. So if majority of Pakistanis did their DNA test or something, I guarantee you there would be 99%. It would come up with 99% Indians.
I have a funny story for you.
Well,
go ahead, Armin.
Yeah.
Armin,
don't forget the funny story.
Yeah.
But they other than them being Arab, they also the ones who are not referring to being Arab, they are referring to the fact that there's some ethnic differences between Pakistan and India, okay? But there's also some ethnic differences within Pakistan itself and within India itself. Like, obviously, any geographical distance between any two group of people will make your ethnic... the fact that you care about that, the fact that you even think that matters, like, we're different from them ethnically or the same. First of all, you're closer to Indians than you are to other people, even though there is some variation from other parts of, within India, there's variation in ethnic diversity within Pakistan, but you're just closer to Indians. Okay, within Iran, like if you go to the Western Iran to Eastern Iran, there's some ethnic diversity. Okay, but the diversity of DNA pool, which is you shouldn't care about because it doesn't matter, within Pakistan is as diverse as it is in India. But the fact that you see your identity so tied into your ethnicity and wanting to separate yourself from the rest of India shows how much you put stock into something that has absolutely no value.
Is that akin to the Khalistani movement in India?
No, that's Punjabis. That's right. That's as Indian as they get.
Oh yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Pashtuns, right? So
So I want to address this point. So it's slightly better than what I thought.
Exactly.
And I'm sorry, I thought that you were talking about Arabs, because that is a common belief amongst Pakistanis, but obviously Pakistan Defense Force is not one of them. But it's saying people like Balochs or people like Pashtuns are not Indians. Well, I'm sorry. I don't know how we're going to draw the line. I mean, well, South Indians could also say that we are nothing like the North Indians, or East Indians can also say we're nothing like. That is the whole beauty of it. When you think India, you think of India as something like, Dravidian Indians or like the Bollywood Indians, and then you said that is only India. India is an accumulation, amalgamation, or a melting pot of hundreds of ethnicities. So yeah, Balochs are also under Gupta Empire, the Maurya Empire as well. Balochis fell under that as well. So there were so many other points. Yes, they were independent as well at some point, and half of that fell into Persia, Iran and Persia as well. So all of that happened. So what would you call Balochs? Would you call them? Well, they were, they were Persians? No. Or you said Pashtuns, they had Buddhist history, but Buddhism also originated from India. And then this is the reason why a lot of Indians call. So all of that, you need to, first of all, as Pakistanis, we need to get this thing out of a mentality that being called Indian is not, it's not a curse. It's not pejorative. It's not embarrassing. I for a very long time when I was Pakistani, when I came here, and obviously because brainwashing or something, when I was in university days, when someone would call me, "Oh, are you an Indian?" I'd be like, "No, I'm a Pakistani," and they'd be like, and a white person would be like, "All right, sure, you're all the same," which is a fair enough point. We do look the freaking same. Pashtuns can also fall under, you could say Afghans, and yeah, okay, if you go to northern parts of, Gilgit-Baltistan or something, they look half Asian, half Pashtuns. So yeah, there are different ethnicities. How we define India? We define India, as I said, we were called India because of the Indus River. It's got nothing to do with the rest of huge India that is today. That is India today, but they call it India. So like this region, subcontinent, it's an accumulation, it's an amalgamation of many ethnicities. So there's nothing bad about being called in India.
This comment by Pakistani Defense Force is actually very shamefully embarrassing, because like the idea of you not being Indian because you're Pashtun, it's kind of like saying like you're not American because you're black or because you're Latino. Or you're not, or you're saying like, oh, most of Iran is not like Baluchi, so like, oh, like I'm not Iranian because I'm Baluchi, or I'm not Iranian because like we have Arab Iranians. Are they not Iranians because they're Arab? Like we have like Baluchis in Iran and in Afghanistan and in Pakistan. Tell me that like then what? Like then what is the difference with what is it like? The ethnic identity and the fact that they belong to a country is nothing to do with each other.
Exactly. That's exactly the point. And this is about Khadija doesn't get it. Looking same doesn't mean you're the same. Is a Chinese person the same as Japanese? If throughout most of the history, like the region of Vladivostok, it's been going between Russia and China for a very long time. And if you go by the actual appearance, most people some look more Chinese than Russians or Far East Asians. But then now it is Russia, and the people there, they're called Russians. So it only goes by the actual identity is given by the actual civilization or society that's been created, or the government that's been created around it, or the empire that's been created around it. So if Pashtuns have fallen under India throughout most of their history, yeah, you could say that they're ethnically Pashtuns, but that falls under the Indian bracket because, as I said, South Indians look or have nothing in common with North Indians, for example, or Kashmiris, for example. So why should, but they're both called Indians. Why should they be called Indian? So that's not how nationalities work.
Yeah, I mean, is a Japanese American not American?
Michio Kaku, he's an American Japanese, but his kids, I'm sure they're just like, oh, ethnically I'm Japanese, but I'm an American. So yeah.
Wait, there was this. Darko is saying this tribal thinking is so damn toxic. Yes,
it is. It's just I can't wait to just wake up in 100 years' time and say like, all these racial and ethnic differences, they're just out. They're like people just don't care about that. It just doesn't matter.
Bassem has a question, but let's go to Zagros first before.
Zagros, funny story. Zagros had a funny story.
It's not just a matter of feeling as well. Like it's really deeply ingrained in our genome. we have that propensity for tribalism, and it proves to be useful. It is useful in that across time and geographies, humans vary drastically in how they think, in how they reason, in how they act and behave and eat and sleep. And unless we are like really clones, you really cannot have that global perfect ideal Smurf village. But anyways, to my funny story. So, and it really relates to what you are talking about. I had this friend from Karachi, Pakistan. He was telling me a little bit about his past, as I told him about mine. And it turns out his family back in the time came from India to settle into Pakistan. I said, oh, so you guys were like Indians? And he said, no, we're not Indians. We are Urdu speaking. So I don't know if he made that up, but he told me that basically they were this people, this tribe or like whatever, whose name is Urdu speaking. So they are not Indian.
Well, let's actually be more fair. I want to be more fair to Pakistan Defense Force. I'm going to steel man his position. Okay, if we're saying Indian,
by the way, hello.
Oh, hi. If we say Indian is a nationality, okay, so we were assuming we were talking about Indian as like a mix of different ethnicities and cultures and languages and many other things, right? Which is like a soup of different many things. But if you talk about Indian as a nationality, then yeah, Pakistanis are not Indian because we're using the nation state definition, and you need to be a citizen of India to be an Indian.
I was about to address that. I was about to address that. So here is this problem here, yeah. So obviously, when languages, there's always a gray area when we go from one region to another region, and then those languages are similar, but at some point they become vastly different. And obviously, they're not at the border region. They're not the same. For example, border region Baloch people would be a lot similar to border region of Sindh people. Now, Sindh people, now the other end of the Sindh spectrum, which is closer to India, they would be a lot closer to that. So the difference would be far bigger. So, and again, this is why I brought in a historical context that, okay, so when we go back to the Maurya Empire, we go back to Gupta Empire, we just look at those. Okay, what were the border regions of that? What were the commonalities between the food and culture and so many other things? So, and he's saying that I don't say that these that you're ashamed, but I'm just saying I'm addressing this general issue that in Pakistan, and you would know that too, Pakistan Defense Force, people for a very long time see that as an insult. That, oh, hey, you're an Indian. No, I'm not an Indian. It's been like that for a very long time. But as you grow up, as you become more, the only way to get rid of this ethnic, racial hatred is like when you can adopt, when you can zoom out a little bit and you look at the whole world as one nationality or one group of people. When you become a truly globalist person, it doesn't really matter. Like, I mean, when I assume the identity of a global citizen, which is a bit of a luxury, I guess, but once you assume that, you really don't see any difference. When I go to Italy, when I look at a brick that was laid like 2,500 years ago by some Roman slave, maybe, I'm like, I look at it, oh wow, my fellow human actually laid that brick down. And it just doesn't matter. I'm not looking at it in terms of, hang on, what language he spoke or what did he believe in or what. All of that actually goes away. So for a very long time, there's people, I think Sam Harris used to talk about this, but then he gave up on that idea because he was pestered by so many people for a very long time that, Sam Harris used to say, well, what's the point of looking at these IQs between amongst different racial groups? So people kept saying, but hang on, it's just science. Saying, like, well, why should we not learn about it? But I get it. So there's actually no point in assuming this, and this is why I'm very anti-culturalist.
Wait,
I'm very
what?
anti. Huh?
Wait, there's no point in assuming what?
Assuming different cultures, or assuming or accepting these different ethnic identities. I'm very anti-culturalist. I'm very anti.
There's no need for it, but there's also scientific, evidence that there are these differences.
Of course, but it's redundant in the modern day and age. I don't have
It's
to
not.
wear.
It's important because at large scales, when you talk about these large societies now that we have, built up of tens of millions, hundreds and millions of people, at the extremes, those differences create like huge, disparities. So we need to know about those differences
No, I'm not
because we
saying that. You're
also
not
have to
understanding what I
address
said.
those
You're not understanding what I
disparities.
said. Zagros, you didn't understand what I said.
Huh.
I said we don't need to assume them. Assume is not the assumption. Assume. This is assume meaning we don't have to. We don't have to take it as a badge. We don't have to put it on our forehead that hey, I'm proud to be Pakistani. I'm proud to be Pashtun or Baloch or Kurd or whatever. I'm saying that is redundant in the modern globalist world. It has absolutely zero significance. This is why I'm saying I'm anti-culturalist. I'm anti-nationalism. I'm anti, some sort of ethnic superiority. And people talk about, we need to preserve these ancient cultures or whatever. Sure, I mean it is a bit inconvenient to say this, but I don't give two damns about some.
What does it mean to be anti-culturalist?
He's basically an anarchist, but at the cultural level.
At a cultural level, not at the societal level. Not at the modern.
I mean, I agree that we finding identity in culture is a useless thing, but I do value culture as not as a guide to life, but as like entertainment. Like culture has two different meanings. Like culture could be referring to certain rituals, but it also could refer to certain ways of life, like a guideline to life. As a guideline to life, I hate culture, but as a certain rituals like food, dance, music, clothing, I think cultures are entertaining and could enrich some people's lives. But I don't see it as a point of using it as an identity, but as a form of enjoyment and enriching your life.
Yeah, I get that too. Obviously, you're picking up the harmless things. Obviously, like who doesn't like pakoras and palak paneer and like.
I mean, also Haris, like.
Hang on a second. Let me finish my point,
Yeah.
I have obviously no problem with that either. But my point is, at what cost does it come? So if we lose a certain culture, like people see that as a moral duty to protect a certain culture. And I've spoken with a lot of, for example, they're called tribal people in India. And when I look at it, every tribal person wants to get out of India. And then this person who was talking up this tribalism, the certain indigenous tribe of India in some rural part or whatever. And he was like, no, I'm so proud of this. I love it, and blah, blah, blah. But he lived in New Delhi. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you enjoying the air-conditioned life? And, you're taking modern amenities. But these indigenous tribes, they refuse to take modern medicine. They refuse to adopt modern life. I get it. There's no way. We can't be China. We can't just go to them and demolish the shacks and say, hey, you need to, move in with the times. But I'm saying that if those cultures voluntarily go extinct, I have no problem with that. And then on a larger scale, when we talk about Diwali and Holi, okay, fine. They enrich people's lives and they're important. They give you pleasure. But if they go, the world is not going to be a worse off place because we will always replace that with something else. Because the rituals that we had 2,000 years, hang on, last point. The rituals that we had 2,000 years ago, most of them are gone. And these rituals will be gone as well. And 2,000 years later, nobody would remember what Eid is, what Diwali was.
Something also?
Wait. Okay, you go.
The thing is, the cultures do not disappear all of a sudden unless there is like a very, large-scale genocide or some disease, killing everyone. They slowly.
Modernity has killed more cultures. Modernity has killed more cultures. Modernity has killed more cultures.
Yeah, it has this all-engulfing, property. It does, kill cultures.
60% of in I think after Second World War, 60%, or I think it's somewhere between. I think it's either tipped to be 70% by the middle of the century, or at least 60% of the world's population today now lives in the cities, in the urban areas. And with the urban areas, they've actually let go most part of their traditional indigenous culture. Like, by that I mean rituals. Now, obviously, now they have other rituals as well. Fair enough, and then that's my whole point. I mean, these things keep evolving. And last point. This is the point to focus on. Because the more global you become, For example, now the whole world, right before our eyes, now celebrates Halloween. Like 20 years ago, nobody celebrated Halloween in Australia or in other parts of the world. Now, so we're assuming these global.
Yes, I understand. You call yourself a cultural what? A cultural
I'm anti-culturalist. I don't care. Like when the
all right. So
here's
I
couldn't care less.
Okay, yeah, you mentioned it. Here's my point. Okay, so you said a lot of cultures were abolished without genocide and stuff, and that's true. Okay, but that would not make me and I think I agree with you that that's fine. Okay, the reason why I think that's fine is not because those cultures disappeared, it's because they were replaced by something else. I would be upset if a culture was wiped and it didn't morph into something else. So I'm not like those cultural absolutists that like, oh, preserve this. I'm like, let culture organically evolve, because people, just like people vote in a market about what kind of shoes they want, people also vote in the marketplace of cultures about what cultures they like, right? So cultures change.
That's
cultures
a very good
evolve.
assessment.
Yeah. So cultures change, cultures evolve, cultures fit what people want at that time, and I'm okay with that because people still have culture. So I wouldn't call myself anti-culturalist, because the reason that culture disappeared, but now people have certain other cultures that they enjoy. So I would think the world would be a bad place if there was no culture to enjoy. So as long as something comes in favor. So if they like, oh my God, these people's cultures are disappearing, I'm like, oh wow, how? Is somebody forcing it out of them? Is it like cultural genocide, or is it just genocide? I would be like, yeah, I'm concerned. Stop it. Maintain the culture. But if somebody says, oh, the culture is disappearing, I'm like, how? People are just willingly choosing a different culture. I'm like, I don't see any problem here. So these two differ. Yeah.
No.
That wouldn't make you an anti-culturalist, because people are switching to another culture.
In the context, it would, because when I say anti-culturalist, I'm actually saying that the opposite of that is globalism. So cultures are localized, whereas globalism is assuming global identity is global, basically. So if, for example, if the whole world celebrates Halloween, for example, even though it might have originated in America, that becomes a part of a global culture or tradition or whatever. I'm okay with that. So it's basically going from localized culture to global culture, maybe. So probably I might not say it, maybe call it anti-local culture. so maybe you can call it that.
By the way, the two sections of culture that I was mentioning is actually different. That I said traditions. I should have said it's culture has two parts. Okay, it's ritual and moral standards. Okay, culture is horrible for moral standards. Okay, we have better ways of figuring out moral standards than our culture, because using culture as moral standards is just because our ancestors did it the way it's good, which is a very fallacious way. Yeah, but rituals part of culture is something that is specific, like clothing, dancing, art, food, these things. There's no harm in it, and the more culture you have, the better, because basically and in fact you don't have to localize. Like Harris said, globalizing culture is better than localizing it, because I could be anywhere I want, and instead of having to pick a certain culture because this is the culture of where I'm born, now I have access to so many different culture. I could be like in the middle of New York and I have access to Mexican culture, I have access to Arab culture, I have access to Indian culture, and we want that would let people choose more, because there's a selection of everything in front of them, and a good thing is that divorcing culture from ethnicity is a good thing, because so that people could enjoy culture that is not supposed to be tied to ethnicity. You could be a Japanese that is enjoying Mexican culture. Okay, you could be like a British person, white British person that is enjoying Indian culture.
You should see my music playlist full of Indian songs, like 80s, 90s, 70s Bollywood songs, full.
Do you get to watch the dance as well?
I watch them, man. I know so many of them by heart.
Shah Rukh Khan.
Lose your shit.
Are you Shah Rukh Khan or Armin Khan guy?
Shah Rukh Khan. I like Shah Rukh
Khan. He's going down now, but anyway, that's fine.
Wait, I want to mention this because I was trying to steelman Pakistani Defense Force.
I think he likes it.
Yeah, no, but he said nation states are a new thing. The old world was a more complicated thing. Okay, based on the old definition, you're Indian. If you want to, I was saying, like, if you say I'm not Indian, based on the new definition, based on the nation state definition of Indian, because you're not a citizen of India, you're not an Indian. But if you want to go based on the old definition of what people refer to as India, if you're a Pakistani, based on that old definition, you are an Indian. Okay, I'm sorry.
Also, I have a question, because I think I heard someone say that India was like the beginning of civilization, but from what I remember, the first sedentary lifestyle was adopted in the current region of China. And by definition, I think that's what constitutes the starting of civilization, the adoption of sedentary lifestyle and, you know, agriculture and whatnot, which also happened there, I think. Unless there's a different definition that I don't know of.
We have.
No, you're right. You're probably right. I mean, it's just it goes anywhere between there's a place in Turkey, I think, which is something like 8,000 years old. And then they keep revising that. But I think, but those are small settlements. Maybe that's probably why the people focus on Indus civilization, or people focus on the Sumerians, or the Akkadians probably, and then people talk about the civilization sprouting up around the Nile, because there were multiple city-states that were popping up at the same time. So it was a collection of more than one city. So, but yeah, you're right. I mean, the first sedentary cities, I think that I've seen. I think I was watching a documentary a while ago. It was somewhere in Turkey that was like 8,000 BC.
I think you're speaking of Göbekli Tepe, which
something
I believe was 12,000 years ago. But those guys were still kind of hunter-gatherer type of people.
Indus Valley civilization was the oldest, I think.
I don't think it's the oldest.
It is old.
People usually go with the Sumerians, but anyway, that's fine.
But does it matter? Like,
I mean,
it does matter.
Yeah,
historically, it does. Historically, it does matter, but like identity, like, is that like, what does that mean to you personally? Like, let's say the place you were born.
Be proud of that. They want to be proud of that.
In one way, I think it matters, like, because I think this is one place where we have to be precise, like how we define civilization, how we define first, how we define
for historical matter. No, I agree. Historically, it matters for historical sciences, but these people treat this as a score.
Yeah, but scholars agree.
Like,
I think.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Because there is this excessive, pride in India that I see. Oh, we have Ramanujan, he revolutionized mathematics. We are the birth of civilization. We are the oldest religion. And like most of those claims are kind of trivial, because like if, for example, Ramanujan didn't have like Newton's, calculus, or he didn't have, I don't know, Huygens' like, mathematics, or this person's mathematics.
Okay. All right, getting into too much detail. Zagros, I think I think the motivation people have to say that we were the oldest civilization is the same thing that motivates people to write first in the comment section. For some reason, people have this obsession over being ahead of everybody else in time-wise, as if like that means anything. I don't know.
I even hear it from
Zagros. We're gonna move on. Zagros,
by the way, like,
we've got quite a few
another
people coming in.
I want to hold your fire on, your feet. To fire. Cancel culture.
You want to set us alight.
Cancel culture. I don't know if you want to talk about it. If not, like, I can.
Let's go to other people and then we can come back to you.
Yeah.
Let's do a circle.
Let's go in a circle. I think Ibn Qiyam. No.
Hello. How are you doing?
Hi.
You all right?
Good.
Yeah. Bloody hell! I tell you what, it's a nice day where I am today. How about you guys?
Well, you're in England, so how could it be a nice day over there?
Nice. It is. Look outside. It's beautiful.
Turn your camera on.
No chance. I'm not revealing my identity. I run a business. I can't do that. Anyway, we're talking about dodgy topics, but I just want your guys' opinion on Rojava, and maybe Rojava. So
the socialists.
The democratic. They're not. The anarchists.
They're popular amongst American socialists.
Yeah, well, what I want to discuss is the implementation of democratic confederalism within Rojava, as per Abdullah Öcalan's, thought process. What do you guys think?
I mean, the situation there is so bizarre, like different from anywhere on the planet. We're talking about like a country that almost turned into a failed state. And these people managed to like take a piece and be like, "Oh, we're gonna run this now in our way." Like, I don't know if we could like learn anything from it. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Do you think we could like learn anything from it?
As I want to add something.
You're a Kurd, yeah. I was about to say,
Abdullah
go
Öcalan
ahead.
says, it's like directly coming from the Turkish intelligence services. Like that guy has declared Turkey as his mother nation. He dedicated his life for the Turkish government. So like I wouldn't consider
Well, he's in
his
prison at the
opinions
moment
as
by the Turks.
he's in the prison. Yeah. So I wouldn't consider like his opinion as relevant with respect to like the Kurdish people's causes.
No, but his ideas are being implemented within Rojava. So democratic
guys, before we continue, I have to explain to people what you're talking about, right? You're talking about certain Kurdish people that managed to have autonomy over, use the instability in Syria to make a certain part of Syria autonomous and self-governing, right? And it's a place that a lot of Western communists and socialists and anarchists, left anarchists, keep coming over it because they think like, finally this is an example, like, because they have no example of success for their policies, right? Like we're like, everybody keeps talking about Stalin and Mao, and now finally they're like, oh, finally we have a place that we could point to and be like, yes, that, right?
It's kind of true, to be honest. But that region, the policies that have been implemented are very different to communist policies.
Yeah, but I know, but everything we get from Western commies is like it's a misrepresentation of what's happening there because they want to claim it as their own, right?
I completely
go
agree.
on. What's the difference?
But like, for example, feminism is one of the most central aspects to democratic confederalism. In fact, Abdullah Öcalan mentioned that housewifery was he regarded it as the enslavement of women.
Because they're sending them because they need manpower, but in this case, woman power to fight, right?
Not just to fight, but women are represented in every aspect of politics.
I know, but that philosophy came there because they had female soldiers, so
this was before
impacted their idea. Oh, before
this ideology was before. It came about before the war in Syria. The ideology of Abdullah Öcalan came in the mid to late 2000s, which is democratic confederalism, and it was then subsequently implemented once they had an opportunity to do so, whether it be northern Syria, Iraq, and whatnot. And now Rojava is by far the wealthiest place in Syria. It's I think it's the GDP per capita there is 3 times the rest of Syria, including in Damascus.
How would you describe them as liberal or commie, socialist?
Very liberal. I would say
liberal.
Much more closer to liberalism than they are.
So that's a win for us, not for the commies.
I agree. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
But like ecology, for example, is an important aspect of it. This is I think their ideology in certain respects is ahead or progressive compared to Western European ideology, in that they take into account the environment.
Taking into account the environment. Kurds in general are more liberal and secular than the rest of the people in that region. Right?
They didn't used to be. Back in the day, they didn't. Yeah. It was because of this one man, Abdullah Öcalan, his ideology, his way of thinking. It has transformed probably one of the most backward groups within that region into one of the most progressive groups within a generation.
Wow.
It's amazing. Honest to God, it's amazing what he's done. For example, within the Kurdish community, one thing which was normalized within their society was honor killings. It was probably the most predominant place in the world for honor killings. And
wait, Abdullah what?
Öcalan. It's spelled Ocalan.
Wait, is this okay? So he's okay. So we have to be careful about who we're endorsing here because this guy is the founder of PKK.
Yeah, he is.
He is. Yeah.
Okay, the PKK is a terrorist group.
Yep, they are.
No, but he's no longer. His ideology has transformed. He no longer supports many of the acts that the PKK had conducted in the past.
He is directly in control of PKK.
He was.
He's in control.
But he's saying Zagros on one hand says he's being controlled by Turkey, and now he's saying he's in direct control of the PKK.
That's what I'm saying. PKK is under the control of Öcalan, and Öcalan is under the control of the Turkish intelligence services. That's the chain of command. how it
So
goes.
why wouldn't PKK give up their arms today and just surrender if they were under the control of the Turkish? If Öcalan, who is the commander,
PKK is under the control of the Turkish. What is happening? What are you guys?
Doesn't make any
talking
PKK
about?
is under the
doesn't make sense.
control of the Turkish through Öcalan, because Öcalan being the founder of
The PKK is at war. Just recently, there was a bombing in Turkey with the Kurds.
yeah. So this is another one of those cases where there's a problem with the Kurds, right? Kurds want a fraction of the Turkish territory.
Okay, guys, this is getting too complicated.
Boring.
For the live chat. Like, no, it's interesting to me, but people in the live chat might find
Boring.
this too complicated.
I'm sorry, I always bring up boring topics.
Sorry, I have no idea. I had never. What was the first word that you came up with? I had never heard of it.
Honestly,
I would just ask one last question and we'll move on. So the Kurdish part of Iraq is also a lot more liberal and advanced and progressive than the rest of Iraq. Is that also because of this guy, or is that separate? Because
it's also because of this. It's also because of this
Really?
guy. Also,
okay.
so as a result of this guy was the Kurdish separatist movement in Iran in the 90s.
Right.
Do you remember?
So,
I think the late 90s,
Harris, this is
I'm sorry, but this is like absolutely wrong, mate. I don't know where you are getting your information as to how like Kurds evolve, but like this is so wrong.
We don't know for sure because this guy is recent and the Kurdish people were into stuff that was not different from the region for a very, very long time. Like they were interested in communism for a while, right? So for a long time. So before this guy. So I don't know.
Yeah,
but anyways,
this guy was Marxist-Leninist, and then his ideology changed. It changed quite a bit. Yeah.
Okay, but we don't know how accurate this is, so guys don't.
It's bullshit.
How am I wrong, Zagros? In what way am I wrong? Go on, explain.
What? We have to move on.
Answer
fast. One-line answer. One-line answer, Zagros.
Zagros can't answer anything in a single line.
I cannot
Zagros
do that.
can never do that. That's impossible.
Okay. Well,
all right.
Let's move on. Guys get in touch. I will do research.
All right, guys.
I just wanted to ask you a quick question. Just a quick question. What do you think about Vosh recently? Saying that I think he's mentioned that the Supreme Court of the United States of America could implement policies which could result in essentially in certain states of America which are Republican leaning, that basically they can gerrymander so that they can continuously.
I don't think it's the Supreme Court. It's talking about the state legislators.
No, it's the Supreme Court. There's a particular case which allows states.
Right. Yeah, I do believe that if that's true, which I don't know if how likely that is, but that would be the greatest threat to the world liberal order, right? That would make it more likely, not very likely, but more likely for the United States to just become full-on fascist. Because the state legislators are becoming more and more Republicans because Democrats don't show up in those local elections. Republicans do, right? So Democrats are more interested in like the Senate and the House and stuff, right? And through this, the state legislators can control the voting process and standards within each state. And if they have full power, they could make it so that no Democrat ever wins again. And that would make America go full-on fascist, which is very scary. I'm not saying that's likely, but if it is, if it does happen, that would be the end of everything we hope for. I don't know. That would be scary.
People are dropping, guys. So I'm just gonna say there's 65 people watching or whatever. I think it just dropped to 56 or something. But there's only 37 likes, guys.
Sorry, I'll shut up.
Like the stream.
I mean, people should be.
We lose a lot of viewers.
I don't know why. Okay, Mikhail, it's not your fault. I know you pick up topics that people are not interested, but this is actually very important. This is dangerous. This is dangerous to everyone's well-being around the world. This is one of the most dangerous things. So people should look up to it.
I need to look it up.
Yeah, right.
Oxymoron. So let's go to weird, and the viewers will go back up again.
Oxymoron,
like rape is good or something.
Help us out here.
We need to get onto a oxymoron's been sitting there for a while. All right, guys. Oxy's falling asleep. He's fallen asleep. He's gone.
Posted the link.
Post the link. Come on, guys. Have a chat. come have a chat with us. Okay. Was going to talk about? I was going to talk about something else. Did you?
Well, while you do, I can answer this question while you think.
Okay, is there a question? Bring
so
it up.
Qasim is saying, what do you think about the recent Masih Alinejad meeting Emanuel Macron? Yeah, that was a big deal. Here, let me show you.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Wouldn't she better meet him with some other people as a transitional council? Okay. Qasim, this is being too picky. The fact that she managed, so for people who don't know, this is one of the most famous opposition leaders in Iran, in the current protests in Iran, right? She's, after Reza Pahlavi, she's the most popular person people know as a force against the Iranian regime. The Islamic Republic. And the fact that Macron is meeting with her is very significant because France and Germany are taking very aggressive positions right now against the Islamic Republic of Iran. Usually European countries are more conservative about how aggressive they were against Iran. It was mostly United States and Canada that were aggressive. But the fact that Macron is now meeting with her and the fact that Germany just recently came out and was very aggressive against the regime and said some wild stuff that was like unheard of from a country like Germany, it's just like, it's a big deal. That means like if Europe is being this aggressive against the Islamic Republic, that means they are going to be very geopolitically and economically and relationship, like the world is setting up a new standard about how to deal with Iran, because Europe was the slight breathing room economically that Iran had, like because the United States was very aggressive about it, but Europe being a little bit milder about it was like a breathing hole that Iran's economy could like have some way to survive. Where now with Europe like closing that breathing room, is going to be devastating, both when it comes to its political standing internationally and economically. It's going to be devastating for the Islamic Republic, right? And also, Qasim, I don't think like a lot of people are saying like, oh, there are many people in the taking the leadership of the opposition. Why did she go by herself? I know people don't understand. It's not that easy to get a meeting with Macron, right? Like, you can't be like, oh, he said I'll meet with you, but Masih saying like, oh, well, I won't take this invitation. I'll wait until I have a few other people. Like, you have to take whatever you can get. Like, it's not easy to just make sure like Reza Pahlavi is in the United States. I don't know. Ali Karimi is in Canada. Hamid Ismailin is in Canada. You're like, oh, I'm not going to meet with him until they show up. No, like this was a window of opportunity. It wasn't even her. Somebody else made this connection, and they're like, this is an opening. You have to go take it. You can't just wait for like, oh, I'm not going to make it. This is an opportunity that she should have taken. I congratulate. This was a major blow, this meeting, because this is the first. Now, Macron is now the first, because of this meeting, Macron is the first world leader that is calling what's happening in Iran a revolution, not an uprising, not a protest. This is a new standard. He called it a revolution, the first world leader, and it was because Masih Alinejad asked him to. So this was a major win for the opposition.
Isn't this ironic as well? Because the Islamic Revolution also began from France. Because
yes, that's what she said. That's what she said, because Masih told Macron that what you made a lot of Iranians upset when you shook hands with Raisi. People were like, why are you shaking hands with the murderers of our children? And Macron told Masih, this is diplomacy. I have to do this. In diplomacy, you have to shake hands of people that you don't want to. And Masih told her, but France is not just a country of diplomacy. France is a country of revolution, right? So that's what made Macron take back. And he was apparently, when she said that, Macron became emotional, and he said, "I will call this a revolution." Right? So that's what made.
That's a big deal.
Damn.
Yeah. So she succeeded basically.
Yeah.
Getting in this day and age, because with these global leaders, they choreograph their words and their speech very carefully, not to offend or not to send a wrong message or something. And then for him to say this, for him to call this an Iranian revolution, that's a big freaking deal, because I don't think any other country has called it that.
Man, imagine that the revolution happens and like so many Iranians would go back to Iran. And imagine
Armin has already said that he's going back.
back.
He's taking me with him. If it becomes a secular country, I'm going with him, and then I'm going to launch my operation from
Like-
Iran into Pakistan.
Man, it'll be like an amazing place. Imagine all the knowledge, the professors, the economists, like the politicians, the money coming in, the investors. Oof. Like,
Yeah. I mean, even so, here's the thing. Let's go back to France, okay? A lot of people are worried about that not happening. A lot of people think that if the revolution happens and the regime falls, there might be a couple like instability and civil war, right? And I'm like, even if that happens, it still might be worthwhile, right? Because think about France's revolution. When the French Revolution happened, the idea was to go to democracy and secularism and to removal of tyrants, okay? The values of the Enlightenment values, right? But none of that happened. Not only did not happen, a lot of people were executed. Like they were chopping off heads, like it was like they were cutting vegetables. Like the guillotine was used on so many people, including the people who were responsible for the revolution, right? For the Enlightenment values that led to the revolution, right? And not only after all of that blood, there was the tyrant came to power. Napoleon came to power, which was a bigger dictator than the king that they removed. So if you looked at it like 20 years, 30 years after the revolution, if you ask if the French Revolution was successful, you would have said like, no, it became worse. But if you looked at it 100 years after the revolution, or like 50 years after the revolution, you were like, or 200 years after the revolution, you were like, not only it was a great thing for France, it was a great thing for the whole world, right? So it might take a revolution, removing a tyrant might take time. That's why I'm still not given up on the Arab Spring. A lot of people have said like the Arab Spring was a failure. I'm like, you cannot say that right now. How long has it been since the Arab Spring? Tell me the Arab Spring has been a failure 100 years from now, not right now. Right? We'll see though.
That's so true. That's so true. I want to ask you a spicy question. Okay, so Imran Khan recently condemned the attack on Salman Rushdie. What do you think? What do you think of that?
Whoa! Did he?
Yeah, it was all not recently. It's been like when it happened.
Wait,
I'll put the link. I'll put the link in the chat.
You don't have to.
The Guardian
I spoke about it. I made a whole video
Well, I
about
mean-
it.
I think you spoke
Wait, I
about
didn't
it
see that.
earlier too.
Wait. Didn't he? Oh,
Yeah, look,
you
I'll
said
put the link in
I
the
was-
chat. Yeah.
And he didn't get a negative reaction. Yeah, you
He did.
told me.
He
I
did.
was,
He did. He did.
but
Okay.
you
so
said his fan base didn't fail.
No. His fan base can never. No, they're called UTS. They love Imran Khan no matter what he does.
Okay.
People will always love him. He's very charismatic. But no, he did do that. But he was silent with the Pakistani media. But then the Guardian, I think was Ibn Qayyum, was it with the Guardian interview or?
It was in the Guardian interview. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a Guardian interview. So he was asked about this, and then he said, "Yeah, look, of course I condemn this," and like the same rhetoric. So he did do it, but then all the TLP guys and all these, they're still using that against him, and this is the reason. And I made a video about that too, and I said, like all these.
How does
things
he keep his
accumulating-
fan base? How does he keep his fan
because
base?
because there is a
Because
very
he's become
popular
so
narrative
big
in Pakistan.
now. He's become so huge.
There is a popular narrative in Pakistan as well. And this is why we say that people like populist leaders like Imran Khan, they need to say that even more. But he said that in 2011 interview with Mehdi Hassan, when Salman Taseer was killed, in 2012 interview or something, and he said the same thing. And he said, "Oh, look, you know what? The country is so polarized right now because of Islamophobia." The term wasn't that popular back then, but he said that. But he didn't want to say. But he alluded to the fact that, okay, you know what? I'm not. And he's a bit of a pacifist. He's not a violent person. As fascist he could be in his attitude, he's not a violent person. He actually is a pacifist person. But him, of course, when he's asked this question, that hang on, what do you do? And I think he genuinely believes in that too. It wasn't just a statement, but he's a politician after all, and he was careful that if I say it out loud, then it can be used against me. And he did say that in the 2012 Mehdi Hassan interview as well, and he said the same thing. If you say anything like this is bad, then you could lose your head, because Salman Taseer thing had just happened. A year or two years earlier.
I just wanted to ask you. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you. Is this what they use, the army and the other politicians, to say that he was blasphemous? Is this the thing that they used, or not?
No, it's just one of the things. Like he said, but he said a lot of stupid things as well. He said something like, oh, if you vote for the sharifs, then this is like kufr. This is shirk. so he says a lot of stupid things as well. He said like, oh, and he said something like Allah got some work out of our prophet, he's trying to get some work out of me. And then people are like, oh, hang on a second, what do you mean by that? Are you equating yourself with the with the Prophet. And obviously that's not what he meant, but he's stupid. He's so self-righteous.
It's clumsy with his words, isn't he? Yeah, very clumsy with his words. He's very clumsy.
Yeah, he's very clumsy. Yeah, of course. He's clumsy. But I think he does believe in this Sufi spiritual Islam as well, where he doesn't understand. Like, I mean, if you read his book, I don't know if you've read his book, Pakistan, My Journey, or something like that.
No.
You know how he went from atheist, or he didn't say atheist. He said I was very non-religious and I was towards atheism. He does touch atheism just a little bit, but then he said how I went from atheism. Obviously, his mother's passing was very traumatic for him, and then he had some like he was a national icon, and like he was at the top peak of his powers and everything. And then one of this guy called Mr. Mia Bashir, and he took him to this Baba in some distant rural mountain. Apparently, he had no TV and no radio. He wrote that in his book, and he said. And he knew everything about me. I'm like, who the fuck would not know anything about you? Like, you don't need radio TV to know about Imran Khan. And he's like, I was sold. He was like, I was sold. This guy knew everything about me, like who I married, how many kids I had. I was like, So he became, but then he became. This is what Jemima said as well. Jemima said, "This is not the Imran Khan that I married back in the 90s. Yeah. He was very progressive, he was very liberal, but then there was a decline." There was a decline in his thought, and he became very superstitious.
Well, I've watched a documentary about him. It's an Australian documentary carried out by Channel 9. I think it was the mid-90s, 1996, 1995.
Yeah, the beach. Yeah.
Yeah,
I watched everything. I've done a PhD on the guy.
You could tell he had like a similar kind of thinking as he has now. He was starting to develop then, I think. But one thing that really made me angry with Imran Khan was once that there was a woman who was, I don't know if we can say this on the channel, but Ard, you know what I mean? Armin knows what I mean. I don't have to explain. But she was Ard, and then he said
she was what?
Ard, RAPE. Yeah, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but and he said afterwards that
men are not robots.
But that was important, and this is why men and women should. That really pissed me off. Honest to God, that really.
He says these things all the time. Yeah. He said all these things. He's like, "Oh, men are not robots," and then it's like, "Oh, it's taken out of context. This is not what it meant." Well, I mean, like same logic. Like if you go out and then like in a dark alleyway with a Rolex watch, of course you're gonna get robbed. So you need to take precaution. But but that's classic victim blaming, obviously. So he doesn't understand. He doesn't know how to mince his words. He's very clumsy with his words.
I think overall, look at the current politicians we have, Harris, in Pakistan, man. They're just self-serving, scumbags, in my opinion. And none of them would ever condemn the attack on Salman Rushdie because it wouldn't serve their interest. But the fact that
so I did a whole video on that. So Imran Khan again, he when he says that, I understand the West. I've lived. No, this is how self-absorbed he is. He's like, I am probably the only Pakistani who knows the West better than anyone. He said it numerous times. And so he does know. He can't say, what do you expect? But again, someone who would say men are not robots, he could have actually gotten away with that crap too. But anyway, he didn't say it because he understands it. But then his second-tier leaders like this, one of major supporters of him, one of the country's most top-notch lawyers, and I made a video on that. He tweeted about praising that Nadi, whatever his name is, Hadi Matar, whatever the guy who attacked Rushdie. And then I confronted him on one of the Twitter spaces, and that idiot, when I said, "Hey, why were you praising Hadi Matar?" He was like, "Who's Hadi Matar?" I said, and then I read him his tweet. He was like, "Oh, you don't know," and then he ran away. So I was like, hang on a second. These people, so they know that how they can, get people on the side because these are the populist things you can say. But only Imran Khan can actually say these kind of things and get away with it. But as you said, like the recent assassination attempt, that was possibly, he said it, he predicted this, that some people are going to attack me and then they're going to give it the blasphemous angle. And I also said it like three months ago, I think 2 or 3 months ago, I made a video where I actually said that it is possible that he could be targeted by some religious fanatics. Because mind you, in 2021, after that guy Khalid Rizvi died, they killed 150 TLP workers. 150 TLP workers. The way they use guns on religious fanatics, they don't use guns like that on mainstream political party workers. For example, Nawaz Sharif's party workers or PTI. So the army does have this separate attitude towards religious fanatics. But again, 150 people is a lot of people. So all of those religious fanatics, TLP people, they hate him. They absolutely hate him. And this guy who tried to assassinate him, yeah, he was a fanboy of Saad Rizvi. But I do think that, yes, it is possible that he acted alone by himself, but he was used by some other forces as well, because Imran Khan is adamant that there were two shooters. So it's like grassy knolls, that whole saga all over again. But you never know. But I worry for him. Like I think there still is a chance that they might go after him again, because love him or hate him, I've always admired him for his certain values. For example, his financial integrity cannot be questioned, even though with all this Ghadichor and all these kind of accusations of bullshit, that there's nothing special about them. Like I've read the whole case in detail. Apparently, the whole money that was raised, which is petty and stupid. I think that's one of his biggest mistakes, that he did it. But whatever he did, the money was spent on a road that goes to his house. Again, like, why would you do this? And I'm pretty sure that some genius in his party decided to do that, and then he's like, oh fuck, I need to cover this up now, which is so petty. Like, I mean, people like Nawaz Sharif and all these guys, they've amassed millions of pounds worth of properties, and here he's being done for like $400,000 watch, which was given in present. So, which is not against the law, by the way, but it's just
okay.
petty.
We're gonna run out of time, so I do have something else I want to show you guys, but let's go to oxymoron and
Mulhid Banda, meaning one atheist guy.
I think you should let the other one speak first.
Oxy.
Okay, go on. No, other. Oxy said the other person.
Okay, Mulhid Banda.
Yeah, hi guys. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I just joined in, so I don't know what the topic is. So if you can.
Okay, you can ask a question very fast, because I want to show everyone something.
Sure.
Yeah, go on.
So I have to. Yeah, I just wanna. I don't actually have a question, but I just have a comment, and that is that all those people who are willing to question, that if you're born in a particular faith, then it's not actually your fault. And what if you were born in another faith? So when you want to leave religion, you have to start to question first, and then you have to do your research, and that's how you come out of the religion. Because when you read your scriptures and you realize, this cannot be a divine word of God, be it Christianity, if you read the Bibles, be it. I'm an ex-Muslim atheist, by the way, so just.
Okay, so you're saying if you do your research and read the scripture, you will realize it's not the word of God, right?
Yeah,
true. You're right. We agree. Oh, just one final comment on Imran Khan. So Imran Khan refused to answer about Salman Rushdie in his interview with Piers Morgan. So again, someone would have told him, like, hey, come on, you don't have to give an answer to every freaking question when you're cornered. So this is a smart move. I think he's made his statement once. I haven't watched that interview now with Piers Morgan recently, but he has given a statement once, and I think that's good enough. Let's just take that on face value, because obviously it can endanger his life, and he knows this. This interview with Piers Morgan, he did that after the assassination attempt, so he doesn't want to.
Why will he talk before the interview and tell him, like, listen, don't ask me this question; it could endanger my life? That would have been a better thing to do.
I actually watched that interview. I watched that interview, and he said in it, my statement stands as what I've said in the past. But I'm not going to answer it now because I've so much shit on my shoulders at the moment, and that's what he said.
Yeah, well done. Well done,
it's
Imran.
fair.
That's a decent answer. That's a fair answer.
But it's fair, but it would be more decent if you had discussed that. And Piers Morgan, like, hey, dude, don't put my life in goddamn danger. Don't ask me this question. I think I should.
Do you know when it comes with Imran Khan? I think he was a bit concerned because he tried to put an Ahmadiyya in one of the important positions within the Pakistani cabinet, and then what happened was there was a massive backlash, and then he sacked him, etc. I don't think Imran Khan. I think Imran Khan wants to bring these people in, people from different backgrounds, etc. Yeah. But he was afraid in the past. But his popularity has become so big now. His popularity has become so big that he might be able to take more risks now. So I don't think. Maybe if he got into power again, he'd be willing to do more to tackle the extremists. I don't know.
I don't.
By the way,
that
can
answers
I
your
say
question.
something?
Okay,
Why
go ahead.
aren't you guys making a fuss now that like Twitter is reinstating accounts? Like I know, Armin, you guys lost one of your accounts, right?
Well, I'm gonna have to see if
AP.
there's gonna be I'm waiting to see
Twitter
if
is
there's gonna
dead.
be a Twitter.
It's dead, Armin.
What?
It's dead as a dodo.
Yeah,
It's worth
I'm
8 million now.
I'm gonna wait and
8
see
billion.
if there's gonna be a Twitter for me to come back to. I'm not gonna
There's
spend
going
my
to be
time.
Twitter.
There
is
will
going
be,
to be
man.
Twitter. So I was just going to quickly talk about it. So Sam Harris had a very interesting take at that, and obviously
man.
he's reinstated. Hang on a second. So he's reinstated Donald Trump's account. He's reinstated Andrew Tate's account. Andrew Tate has been tweeting like crazy since yesterday. So I think it's been nearly 24 hours since he's been reinstated. So it's to go, if you do bring him back, now this is very interesting, like I mean, the whole cancel culture and everything, but this is a very interesting take. Obviously, Sam Harris is a genius. Whatever he says is genius. Because if you do bring him back, you shouldn't. Please have a terms of service that covers the deliberate spreading of dangerous lies and then apply it. And then this is a fair point. According to Sam Harris, he will be off again within a week, meaning he's going to lie. He's going to deliberately spread misinformation, etc. So, and then he goes, any terms of service that will filter for Alex Jones will filter for Trump. They're the same object, Elon Musk. But obviously, Elon Musk didn't really care. He didn't answer. He knows Sam Harris, of course. But they have reinstated Donald Trump. But that's a fairly good point that surely this is free speech absolutism. This is bullshit. I mean, I know people love to throw that term in.
This is not about free speech. It's a private platform.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. I know your take on that. But
they make the revenue through advertisement without a terms of service. No advertiser is going to advertise on their platform. They're going to just die. Twitter will just die off if he does a complete free speech.
You can't afford to be a free speech absolutist free speech is about the government not coming after you for your speech. It doesn't mean that you could walk up in a man's house and say whatever you want. I as a citizen, private citizen, I could be like, get the hell out of my house. You can't say these things in my house. That's not a violation of free speech. That's the same thing with these platforms. They need to have a community standard, or else no advertiser is going to advertise with them. And I say that as somebody that has lost their Twitter account because of these community standards. So I'm not saying that as somebody.
Yeah, so that's what Sam Harris is saying. You need to have terms of service, but he's saying here, he's actually pitting the idea against that. He's saying, hang on, there have to be consequences if you are deliberately allowing your platform. And again, in falls on terms of service, it's got nothing to do with freedom of expression and speech, that you're allowing spreading of misinformation or disinformation without any consequences. So if Donald J. Trump does spread misinformation, then his feet should be held to fire. So that's what basically Sam Harris is saying. And he's saying if you apply that honestly, then it'll be taken out. Now, Andrew Tate, for example, is another thing. Like Andrew Tate is obviously giving controversial opinions. Now, that's something you could argue that, hang on, these opinions, are they dangerous? That's the problem. Nothing ever stays static, guys. Everything is either evolving or devolving. And this is what's happening with the social media world as well. Like people are like, hang on a second, he said this. It started with, you said this, you use the N-word. We shouldn't allow that. Fair enough, don't allow that. But then, okay, now he said something anti-gay. Now he said something anti-transgender. Now he said anti-this. I don't like it. I just don't like your face. I don't like your voice. Boom, cancel. And then that was a disproportionate power that was being applied on conservative voices. I think that's what ended up causing that.
Well, I mean, what are you gonna do? You're a company that has a revenue model based on advertisers. The problem is not with the platform. Yeah, the problem, how are you gonna raise money? That's why the Elon thinks he could raise money with selling the Twitter, like the verification check mark, which is not selling that well. But unless you can be like, oh, boo-hoo, this is so bad, my voice is being censored. Well, what are you going to do? The advertisers don't want to be next to your racist nonsense.
Yeah, Elon made such a stupid mistake, man. Do you know when he bought Twitter, I think he paid 44 million. The net worth of Twitter now, within how many weeks has it been since he purchased it? It's worth 8 billion now. So it's dropped to maybe 1/5.
I think he's remodeling. I think he's remodeling. He's reshaping everything.
It's not just that. It's because through the purchase of Twitter, he added a lot of debt to Twitter. Okay, so Twitter was not profitable but now it's not as less profitable, and doesn't have enough to cover the interest on all the debt that he added through the purchase. So
and that's why the previous shareholders, they just ran out straight away. They actually forced him to buy it because he just said it. But I see a lot of silly anti-Elon Musk comments here. It's like, for example, like Elon Musk is like, you can only have free speech when to have $8. No, you can only have the blue tick if you have $8. You're not taken off if you don't have $8.
This comment is like.
Yeah. By the way, that blue tick thing has not worked too well because
it has blown up in their faces.
Yeah. Did you hear what happened? Did you hear what happened with the guy who I think he runs a particular drug company in America?
Yes,
and a fake account was made, and he said, "Oh, all insulin is going to be free, whatever." And the shares just tanked. The shares tanked. The fake account.
But the thing is that the main problem with the blue tick is now people are treating it like a joke. And that's why everybody who buys it is being made fun of, and that's not good because that's becoming the main product of Twitter. How could you sell it when people are seeing this as something to ridicule? Like, because the blue check used to be as a way like, oh, look at me, I am like, oh, like I'm now. It's like if you have it, you're looking at people down on you. They don't look highly on you, they look down on you. So why would you pay $8 for people to look down upon you? Like,
did you ever get the blue tick when you were on Twitter?
No, I applied. No, we did on Facebook.
Ali Rizvi did.
Yeah, no, they did it before we applied. Like they applied when it was being handed out like candy. They put a stop to it, and then
I can't even apply for it even if I paid them $8.
I'm not going to pay $8 for it unless the whole thing fixes or something. But I don't know.
You're not even on Twitter, Armin.
It doesn't even matter now. Like it's just like
you know, not that you know.
Carly is not sexy, Armin. Carly is not sexy. Don't you realize?
Yeah.
If you want to be on Twitter, Carly is not sexy anymore.
I bet. Like, you know what? I'm actually a Hindu now. Okay, because karma just came after the people who removed us on Twitter, right? I bet you some of those people that were directly involved in removing our account were part of the people who got fired. Okay, so this is like I agree. Hinduism, I endorse Hinduism now because apparently karma is coming after every one of them. But anyways, I want to show you guys something. Do you guys want to move on from this? Because I want to show you something.
Yeah, I'm happy to move on. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to show you this kid.
Sorry, before you move on, can I add something?
Fast.
Yeah.
Okay. So the
Zagros doesn't do anything faster.
Okay, Zagros, like seriously, like keep it short.
Yeah.
Because we need to move on.
Yeah. The types of policies that led to the banning of Armin's account and apostate prophet's account are similar in nature to the policies that you would want instated, or that Sam Harris would want instated.
No, wait, no. Let me tell you this, and then we move on. Actually, we didn't. Our account was not removed for any community guideline reasons. We were actually told that there's nothing a violation of community guidelines. We were removed because of the government of India filed in the request. They said that our tweets are illegal in India. Even though it didn't violate any of Twitter community's guidelines, they removed us anyways.
But that's not a true application of their own terms of service, because when a local country, I remember reading that in terms of service, because when I was banned, my tweets are banned in Pakistan as well. So what they do, if they receive a request from the local government to ban a certain account, that is only banned in that local jurisdiction. It's not banned globally. So your account should not have been suspended in its entirety. It should have only been banned in India. That's what should have happened.
That's what.
So that's what. Yeah. So obviously, hang on, Zagros. So that means that that's just an arbitrary application of their own terms of service.
Yeah, it's true. No, you can't sue a platform for something like that. No, but anyway, I want to move on to
actually you
kid.
Can. There's a guy.
Oh my God! I don't understand, Zagros. Did you not hear me when I said we're moving on? So here. Look at this is a kid. Okay, it's a boy. It's called Kian. Okay, and he wanted to when he grew up, he wanted to become a robotic engineer. His passion was robotics, right? So,
oh wow, there's a helicopter fan at the back.
But the thing is, he can't become a robotic engineer anymore because he was shot dead by the Iranian government. Okay.
This kid?
Yeah, this kid. And the reason, and the mother of this kid did not hand over the body of the kid to the government, because the government, when they take the body, they keep the body as hostage to the family, for the family to say, like, tell the media that it was terrorists, it wasn't us, or else we won't give you the body. So the mother was holding the kid's body in his house, and I can't show you the picture. The family had ice around his body to make sure they keep the body and don't give it to the government, because that's what the government does. They take the body and they're like, you have to come in front of the camera and say what we told you, or else we're not going to give the body. So the pictures of this kid's dead body shot with bullets next to ice around him went viral on Twitter, which I can't show right now, but I just want to show you a few other videos. This is him. Oh, I can't show you, I can't play the music, but this is him planting a tree. Okay, but let me show you something else. This one went viral. This one I'll show you a video. This one, him made a device, and he's like saying, I want to. He made this. His mother is recording this because he's making a test. He made a project for school to see if it works. Hold on. It's for competition. Oh, here. Let me. So here. It says, this is he says, in the name of the God of rainbows, I made this for the certain competition, and now I'm making this video to test if it's working. So he's like very interested in engineering stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
So give us a bit of a backdrop then. So what happened? How does a 7-8-year-old kid get caught up in this fiasco?
Right, I will tell you. So he's saying, as you can see, as I've demonstrated, it's working properly. So it's very cute. So the way that he died was that the parents were in a car with him, and they were trying to go to a different part of the city because to get away from the protests that were happening, because there were going to be shootings. They expected there to be shootings, and they wanted to go. And they got to a place where the police was in front of them, and the police will stop them and told them that they need to go backwards, back the way they came. And when they were coming, there were some, I think, Basijis, which is like the plainclothes people. For some reason, when that car came towards them, they started shooting at the car, and they started screaming, "Stop shooting! Stop shooting!" Their kids and children, the women and children inside, and they started shooting. And they came because for some reason the car coming back towards them, made them assume that this is a threat for some reason, and they started shooting. And then some of the other Basijis realized that this is like not that what the threat that they thought. So they went, and when they saw the kid like shot, and the father was shot as well, they said like, oh, they said that they said, like, the mom confirmed that they said that they were shot by our own people, by our own. So the mom heard that, right? But the regime is saying that the kid was killed by ISIS. For every time there's a shooting like this, the government keeps claiming that there's for some reason there's ISIS in the middle of protesters, and the kid was shot by ISIS. But the mother is saying this is a lie, and she saw that we were shot by the government agents itself. But then now they arrested the mom, and they got a force testimony from her saying that she doesn't actually know who shot. But this was after she said, like, publicly said, I know it was the regime. But every time they arrest people, they have forced confessions. Here's, like, I just want to show you some videos people have made about, like, the device that he made. This is kind of cute.
You can hear the music as well. I don't know if you want to play that.
What?
We can hear the music as well. I don't know if you want to play that.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I think this one is.
We'll just lower the volume so we can speak over it. So it does it in that case.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just. People are making pictures like this about him, about his device that he's made. Yeah. And now people are showing up in the protest with the device that he had made, like that. But I just wanted to show you. Yeah.
So when will these bastards realize that the more they do this shit, the angrier people are going to get? And that's obviously what's happening. Like, I mean, these idiots don't realize that, like Masih Alinejad was one woman, and they killed her, and look what happened. And now in the wake of that, they've killed far many more civilians, and it's just not slowing down. Now a kid dies, a kid is killed because of some trigger-happy Buji, what's his name? Bajidi? What are the
Basiji are the plainclothes people that are government enforcers.
Religious police, the moral police in civilian clothes, which is also it's like a trap because people don't know if they are so-called moral police. So they're basically this sting operation every day taking place in the streets of Tehran. That if we see a woman like one of the videos that you played earlier, they just approach you and then just say, "Hey, where's your hijab?" or whatever, and then they start harassing women. When would these idiots understand? We heard somewhere, like last week or a couple of weeks ago, I heard that the Iranian government is actually thinking about revising their hijab policy. How true is that? Because if they keep doing this, if they keep killing innocent civilians and even kids, for that matter, that's just these. I can't wait for this regime to be toppled. I don't think people are going to slow down.
Removing the hijab bans is going to do nothing but encourage more people to come out. Some people think like, oh, if removing the hijab bans means like people will like, okay, we go home. Actually, removing the hijab bans will probably encourage more people to come out because this is not about the hijab, okay?
And is that
the protesters want the regime to fall. The protesters with all these people killed, they're not going to be like, oh, the hijab is not mandatory anymore. Okay, we're going to forget the fact that you killed Kian. This is the people are not going to forgive any of this, right? So if you remove the hijab ban, people are going to think like, okay, so you are weak because like you're desperate. You're throwing things at us because you have nothing to do, and it's going to encourage more protests, not less protests, probably.
I just want to say, I don't think this needs to be said, but just how brave these protesters are. I mean, my initial instinct under a regime like Iran would be to run as far away as I could, But these people who are willing to confront and put their lives on the line, it's on another level. It really is. And
we've said this before. We've said this before.
But I think it's important that we remember how brave the people are, because sometimes we talk about regime change, etc., but these are real lives that are being lost. And
Ibn Qayyum lives in England and he can't even show his face or real name. I'm joking.
Exactly. No, it's true. It might affect my business. Exactly. I don't want to do it. Yeah, no, honestly.
I know. Fair enough. It's not easy.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't be. To be fair, I'm not as brave as these people either. There's a lot of videos coming out of Iran that people are saying like the government said like, oh, they were running away because to remove reduce the reputation of some of these like brave leaders, like street leaders and stuff, and they keep coming out with videos like, listen, I'm not going anywhere, okay? I'm gonna do this until I die. Like I'm gonna do this until either Iran is free or they kill me. And they make statements, but that when they're not if they're killed, like when they're killed, make sure that you do not get demotivated by my death. This is not about me. Like you have to pick up, there's many of us, like there's not like a lot of street leaders and stuff like that. They're saying like when they shoot me or they kill me, make sure you don't, this is not a time to cry for me. This is a time to fight. You have to pick up, the rest of us pick up the work that the ones have picked up before. And some of the protests are saying the same thing. Like some of the chants in the protests are saying like, for each one of us you kill, 1,000 of us rise up. And actually that's becoming true, because like for like Kian's death, like you saw Masih Amini died, and that encouraged so many people to come, and then Nika died and she encouraged a lot of people to come out, and every death is like that. But Kian, a lot of celebrities that people didn't expect at all to ever like come out and be anti-regime, after Kian's death they came out and they were crying in front of camera, and the women were taking off their hijab. People, they were like, oh my god, this person too. But Kian was for a lot of people, Kian's death was the final nail in the coffin. So every death is encouraging a whole bunch of people that were pro-regime or kind of not part of the protest or anything. They see it, and like a lot of mothers came out because of this. A lot of mothers, because they saw Kian's death and they imagined their own son or their own daughter as Kian, they couldn't take it anymore. And they're like, okay, if this is going to be the end of my career or end of my freedom, I don't care anymore. I'm going to also join the protests. So yeah, a lot of famous people. Yeah.
It's amazing that people always think that these regimes always think that it works for a little bit of time when certain barbarity, they quell rebellion through brute force. But there is a tipping point. Like every murder that they commit, it just, instead of people running away or getting scared, more people come out. For example, I've never seen that in the history of Pakistan when, when that journalist Ashar Sharif was killed. A lot of people I know a lot of people, a lot of journalists, they're all scared, but some of them became more brazen in their criticism of Pakistan Army and ISI, and I was like, whoa, okay, like we have never seen people discrediting Pakistan Army or ISI or speaking, speaking against them or speaking so disparagingly about them. Never seen it, but again, like people just get sick of it. But I think there's a threshold when people just get sick of it, and then they say, you know what, you kill one person, and literally 1,000 people come out.
Yeah, these are Kian's friends, by the way. These are his classmates. But go on, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, if I had the financial means, honestly, like I would just run with my family, honestly, like. But these people are much braver than I am. So yeah.
You never know. I think look, fair enough. You can't say. I mean, obviously the bravery is unmatched, and then again, and history is full of it. People like that always have risen up and have toppled governments. People stood up against Ceausescu. People stood up against Mussolini. People stand up all the time. But again, your experience and our experience is different. This is what I'm saying. Like, there's a threshold. Like, if you see a little boy in your neighborhood killed, and you're like, "Whoa!" and you already remember Masih Amini, you already remember people firing at you, or these revolutionary thugs, they're firing at you and they're beating you. Then you say, "You know what? Screw this! I don't care anymore. I'm gonna go for it." So these experiences actually, that's why, I mean, it's amazing how human emotion and humans are. We can be pretty bad, but we can be really good as well.
Yeah, Ibn Kam, actually, I don't know if you would like run away if, let's say, for example, your son would was killed by these guys.
Yeah, then it would be different.
Yeah,
then it would be different. But the thing is, maybe because maybe if you're middle class or whatnot, you're less likely to fight the ruling or put your life on the line. Maybe if you've got less to lose, you're more willing to do it. I don't know if that plays a part.
No, there are a lot of people who are middle class or even rich who are just become like, if you are like constantly, if you constantly are bombarded by like so far 50, like around 50 kids have been killed by this regime over these protests. 50, right? So if you constantly see this, and then you see the bravery.
But I'm assuming where Kian one is like obviously taking off, and people are responding to it differently, maybe. And
yes.
The ball is just gotten bigger.
I hope the football team at the World Cup do something, because I know there are a few of the players there that are anti-regime that have been allowed to play. So I'm hoping they provide an act of solidarity.
Well, a lot of people are actually very critical right now of the football players in Iran. They're saying that they should have. They went to the Raisi and they bowed, and they haven't been coming out and saying anything. So a lot of people are telling them that they're like, they're like that, playing football across, like on top of people's dead bodies, and not paying attention about, not bringing in it. We'll see. Like, hopefully, maybe last minute they decide to take a knee or something in a form of protest. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, hopefully. Oh, by the way, there's a question. Soha in the live chat is saying, "Where is the effing UN? What the f are they waiting for?" Actually, very interestingly, UNICEF, which works with the Islamic Republic of Iran, has not come out and said a single thing about all the kids that have been murdered. So a lot of people are now critical of UNICEF because it's supposed to be actively working with the interests of children, saying UNICEF not for every child, as you can see. And actually I think this is the latest numbers. Number of people who've been killed, death toll of protesters known so far, the people who have been identified so far is 402 in the past 3 months, 58 of them children. So there's that. So number of individuals arrested, 16,000, almost 17,000. Number of regime forces killed, 54. This is the highest it has ever been in any of the protests. So the people are fighting back. number of
you reckon the number is going to rise? I reckon. Killing kids is obviously that's just. And look, out of 58 kids, obviously Kian's story has gripped the country, and probably there's always certain, like for example, Masih Alinejad wasn't the only girl who was a victim of this brutal regime, but then that just took off, and now Kian one is obviously having a different kind of impact. So I don't know now I'm thinking, you like as you said earlier, that could be tomorrow, but it could be like in 5 years' time. But the days of this regime are numbered. I think that's it. It's done. They're done for. Once we start seeing mutiny amongst these revolutionary guys and Bajidis or whatever these people are, I think that would be it.
I would say it's a question of when, not if. It is now a question of when. This regime, based on the information I have, which is always be like you don't have all the variables, but I don't see this regime surviving. I just don't know what the timeline is.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've been propped up in the past with the oil money, etc. But with the sanctions in place, hopefully.
But they were still pretty resilient despite of the international sanctions.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, because if they fall, it's going to be from within. It can't be from pressures from outside. It has to be from pressure from within.
And then we can have President Armin Navabi as the next ruler of Iran. Why not?
Sure.
You got to think for the stars, Armin. You never know.
The guy who burned the Quran rule over a country with at least.
Well, it would be a secular country because the people would say, "Well, you're the one
with a big portion of it." Secular doesn't mean non-religious.
No, anti-religious. No. But you were anti-regime,
Yeah, but there are a lot of religious. I've actually have been making shows on our Persian channel, trying to bring atheists and Muslims together, right? Instead of like dividing, trying to bring them together, because this fight is now being done by everybody against the regime, right? And I keep telling my atheist, because a lot of my atheist activists in Iran are like, we're gonna like burn the mosque and kill the mullahs, and this is the end of Islam in Iran. I'm like, listen, dude, most of the people who killed in the protests are Muslim. Most of the people who are fighting in the streets against the regime are Muslim. Like, you can't, if this country ever becomes a secular, it's going to be because of the contribution of Muslims who made it secular. So stop like dividing us over religion. Like we could have a discussion about whether Islam is right or wrong, which is fine, but don't use this as a way to cause disunity between us. We need to be united against the regime. Yeah,
I agree. And Armin, if you do get a position of power, I hope you provide me with preferential treatment for exporting second-hand cars into Iran. Fingers crossed. I mean, you know me now. We're good friends, okay? So
corrupt practices. You guys, let me wake you guys up. You got to take over the country first.
Oxymoron. Oh yeah, go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so we already have some votes for you, but I don't know.
Wow, sorry, amazing.
But sorry, guys, you need to be Iranian citizens or citizens of the new regime first.
Where are you? I'll become a politician where you guys are.
PM Armin Navabi. I've just put a poll. I've got 11 votes so far. I said, will you vote for Armin? And 100% people have said yes, and that's out of 11 votes so far.
Okay, there you go. I'll go and run a party. I don't know if I become the prime minister. I'll just start a party in Iran. How about that? A political party.
Masih Alinejad will see you
I'll become a member of parliament. How about that?
Masih Alinejad will see you as a competition. Guys, please like the stream. 570 people have watched my stream and only 52 freaking likes.
Yeah, guys, please like.
It doesn't cost anything. Just like the stream. It helps.
It costs you half a second. Yes.
Right. I've got another announcement to make just very quickly. Like as you guys know, I've been inviting people, and this time I will be speaking with Peter Boghossion. He's the guy behind street epistemology, by the way. Those of you who don't know, he wrote a book, A Guide to Making an Atheist or something like that, and then he actually wanted to name it Street Epistemology. So he's obviously very smart. He's got a doctorate in philosophy, talks about street epistemology. A lot of people, according to him, have actually mastered the art of street epistemology even better than him. So he talks a lot about transphobia, gender pronouns. Obviously we'll talk about street epistemology as well. So these are the times, 30th of November in the Western Hemisphere, like obviously London, New York, Vancouver, 11 p.m., 6 p.m., 3 p.m. respectively. And then obviously, unfortunately, 1st of December, 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m., and obviously 10 a.m. for me. So this time I'm doing is a little bit differently, that only members and patrons can watch it live, because obviously most of my audience are from New Delhi, Lahore, and London, and that is not really the best time for them. And what it does, like if you stream it live, after the initial momentum, it loses momentum very quickly. So I mean, my interview with Michael Sherman was a total disaster. Only got like 5,500 views, which is, I don't know why. So if you're a member and patron, you can watch it live and ask questions. But then I will release it to the general public. I will premiere it a couple of days later or something like that. So be a patron, please. Hello. Those who are Armin Navabi's patrons, come on, you can show your love here as well.
Yes.
Spread the love.
Guys, become a patron on both Harris, Sultan, and Secular Jihadists to support us doing all the work we're doing. Thank you very much.
And YouTube member as well.
Membership.
If you like one or the other. And if you can't do it, no worries, no stress. Just like the stream, guys. Like and share. Right. It really helps.
Yes, guys. I have the Atheist Republic news after this, so we need to wrap this up very quickly. Yeah. Oh, by the way, if you guys want to continue, me and Susanna are doing Atheist Republic after this on the Atheist Republic channel. We're going to go over 10 news items. So hop over there after this is over. Oxymoron. We didn't.
So I got that evidence about the law I was talking about, the Kashmir thing, but it could take long, and I don't think it could also ruin the mood. I mean, the stream was going great either way.
It's true.
Why did you?
So, do you want to talk about what Zagros was talking about?
The thing is that we have been going back and forth towards this Kashmir thing. I don't know if people would be.
I don't think people are interested in it anymore. I
don't think people. We want to talk about things that people are interested in. I don't know, like.
Yeah, Oxymoron. Why don't you try and justify rape like you did last time? Maybe there'll be more interest.
Stop it.
Okay,
stop
so
it.
my idea of. I didn't really just.
We can't talk about that. That's gonna get us. That's gonna get. The stream is going to go.
Okay, we could do email.
Yeah. How about this? How about Oxymoron and Ibn Qiyam? Like, you guys exchange emails.
Yeah,
we're not going to
exchange emails.
Well, I don't have the time yet. Do you know what? I just want to say thank you for the opportunity for allowing me to speak. It's the one weakness I have is public speaking, and this gives me a perfect opportunity to have a
British accent.
You do it. You're a good speaker.
Sounds so nice.
No,
even if you're talking gibberish, it still sounds nice.
It's my biggest weakness is public speaking, but thank you very much for having me on, and enjoy the rest of your show. But yeah, thank you. Cheers.
Thank you, Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullah. I don't know why that's a profile picture, but no.
Al-Qayyam is the student of Ibn Taymiyyah, and by the way, it was and do you know Andrew Tate, when he converted to Islam, he actually quoted Ibn Qayyam in one of his things.
Ibn Taymiyyah. He quoted Ibn Taymiyyah.
No, he quoted Ibn Qayyam. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah,
thanks.
I'll leave it. Okay. No,
all right. Thank you. Oxymoron, do you have another question that is not Kashmir related?
Or India related?
Well, depends. How much time do you have?
5 minutes.
No.
5 minutes.
1.5.
30 seconds.
1.5 minute.
No. Okay, bye.
No question? Oh, what the hell? Okay, 2 minutes. We have 2 minutes.
No, I don't really have any question. I could discuss what Zagros was discussing, but
how about this? How about send your question as a patron so that we could prepare for it?
He's a member. You can send it as a member.
He's a patron.
Oh, he's a patron as well. Right. Okay.
Yeah. So send your patron. So that way I could arrange something and then allocate time for it. Okay. I just want to make sure. Okay. Great. Thank you. Bye. A Pakistani defense force is saying Imran Khan is a traitor who talks against Pakistani army.
That makes him. That makes him a patriot.
Yeah. Also, it says Imran Khan is an Indian agent.
There's a couple other commenting. Come on, man. Like, I mean, for a tiny bit of time, I thought you were smart. I don't know. I hope you're joking, but but I don't know.
For a tiny little bit, I think.
I had something I had to ask to you. So,
Oh,
do
now
you
you
think
remember.
that Imran Khan has divided the army itself, the elites and the army?
Oh yeah.
So it
It's
could
in
be
chaos.
hid.
There's an absolute
Yeah.
chaos in there. There's an absolute chaos. There are Imran Khan loyalists and there are Pak army loyalists. And this is the first time we've seen. But now the general is going to be announced, I think, tomorrow, Monday, I think. The new general, new army chief is going to be
I
announced
think they
tomorrow.
did.
Oh, they did? They have? When? Yesterday?
Well,
No,
I read
they haven't
it
announced it
today.
yet. Did
I
they?
read it
No, they
somewhere.
didn't. Pakistan's new army chief. No way.
Okay, I'm getting some other comments.
No, they haven't announced it yet.
I
That's
read
saying
some
army
news,
gives
I
us-
think.
Okay, we need to go. But Bassett is saying Armin gives off good energy, which I like. Thank you so much. And what is vote for Armin? How do you say this again?
Armin Bhai. Bhai means brother.
Bye. Brother. Thank you. I
Right,
do.
so,
I vote for me. I don't know what election.
Yeah, I think let's just wrap it up. 2 hours and 10 minutes. I think you're done. You need to do the next one.
Yes.
I actually enjoy this a lot. I could actually let it go for 3 hours because you do most of the work. Because you collect everything. I just sit here. This is and when I used to do a show with Nuria, I used to do all the work. I'm talking and I'm like, like it's just hard. And then I enjoyed it. This is better. And then I think when you do a show with Susie, I think she does all the work. I think.
So
I think she collects all
do.
the
So here's the thing with Susie, I do the same work that I do here, but she still does 90% of the work because she actually spends a lot of time collecting the news and researching the news and fact-checking the news. So even though I do the same work that I do here, she still ends up doing 95% of the work because
good work. That's good editorial policy. How much time do you have? Do you have actually 5 minutes? I actually just remembered a very interesting story.
Yeah.
So there was this guy. I mean, as you guys know, there's like the oxymoron. Do you want to? Okay, maybe we can leave. So there's this, as you guys know, like the ex-Muslim movement, especially in India, that's just taken off. Now it's actually even going down because it did hit the highest point it could. A lot of ex-Muslims made it to Indian ex-Muslims made it to the national TV, and people were talking about it. And one of them was ex-Muslim Sahil. Out of all these like 10, 15 ex-Muslims who came out of India, he became the most popular one. There's a reason behind that. So he used to use a mask and pseudonym and never came out. And there was this guy, and obviously because he was Indian, like, whatever you do in India, and if you sprinkle it a little bit with Indian nationalism or just go soft on Hinduism, you get tons of Hindus, Hindu nationalists, Indian nationalists who just come. The kind of popularity that I could never enjoy. I did kind of enjoy a little bit at the start because I was the only one who was doing this. But anyway, so this guy was called Sahil. His name was ex-Muslim Sahil. And he was eventually they found out because he rose to prominence very quickly. There were people watching, like 2,000 people watching him watching his live stream at the time. He was bigger than all of us, everyone. Like he was huge. So then eventually these guys found out, and this guy Mufti, he was a Mufti. He found out about his identity, although he's a Pakistani, and then they doxed him. They gave his work address. They revealed his real name. They said where he works, how many siblings he has, married, whatnot, everything. They just put out everything. This guy. And then in one of the streams, he actually said, "Oh, I'm the one who'll do this." Like he actually gestured and he actually said it in words as well. So ironically, like now some Hindus will say, "Well, karma is real." Actually, I thought karma was already real in that case, because what happened, well, obviously I'm saying it sarcastically, but when they doxed him, as a result, what happened, he became an instant overnight superstar because now they had revealed his face. He went underground for like 3-4 weeks, maybe a month. He deleted his channel or he hid all his videos, but then he put them back up again. Why? Because like he was enjoying his work. I mean, this is something like you can't really. So I think he went away. He covered his bases. He moved his house or whatever, like did everything right. And then he started getting interviewed by these mainstream news channels. His channel went like from 30,000 subscribers to like 140,000 subscribers. Now like 14,000, 15,000 people are watching his live streams live. right? So I thought, okay, justice has been done, but the universe had some other plans, unfortunately. So this guy who wanted some good pious Muslim to take care of this ex-Muslim Sahil, he even said it along the way. Look, why don't you become brave like us? Why don't you come out? And now if you are too coward to come out, we will help you come out. So they doxed him, and then guess what happened? This is what happened 13 days ago. 13 days ago, he himself was. I'm just laughing because nothing serious happened, But I've been saying this for a very long time, that everyone will be caught in this bullshit storm. Everyone will be caught. So he's a Barelvi. He belongs to a Barelvi sect. And then he was cornered. He was going on his motorbike somewhere. And then he was cornered by some dudes who belong to a different sect. And they harassed him. And then they warned him. They said that the kind of version of Islam that you preach is not in accordance with the real Islam. So they started harassing him, and then they beat him up, and they threatened him that if he doesn't stop, then they will come for him again. So he turned up, all bandaged up, all beaten up. The same fate fell on him that he was wishing upon this ex-Muslim Sahil. So maybe Allah listens to us ex-Muslims as well. Maybe. What do you reckon? I'm laughing again. I made this video in Urdu as well. I'm obviously I don't condone any violence, but I'm just saying this irony of this whole thing.
Yes, we're not endorsing violence, by the way, guys. We're just
and obviously I would have been. I actually would have been sad. I mean, this guy threatened me as well, and he's harassing one ex-Muslim woman. She actually had to move her city. So this guy's a badass. Like, not badass in that sense. Like, he's actually he's a filthy human being. But I don't believe in this. What goes around comes around, or karma. This is all nonsense. But I'm just saying that the universe has a funny. Well, that made me sound like.
No, it doesn't.
But anyway,
this is just a
I'm just enjoying
coincidence.
it. It's
Well,
just
we
a
can enjoy
coincidence.
we don't endorse it, but we can enjoy it without endorsing it. How about that?
No,
Is that good?
no. Okay, no. Let's be more politically correct. I don't even enjoy it.
I can. No, there's nothing wrong with enjoying it. I don't think
enjoying violence upon people. But I'm just saying, like, it's ironic. It's funny. Okay, it's funny. Like, it's funny.
Enjoying
like,
it
is
there's
a saying in
same as
Pakistan.
endorsing it. No, I don't think.
There's a saying in Pakistan. There's a saying in Urdu that you dig a hole for someone to fall into, but then you accidentally fall into yourself. That's hilarious.
I mean, okay, so seriously, bad things happening to bad people and causing the world to be a better place because of it. If you could take joy in that, that's not necessarily endorsing it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah. This is what we were talking about, like these revolutionary guards in India. Oh, sorry, in Iran. It's like, like, I mean, I didn't say that I enjoy it, but I'm like, I mean, my heart, if it's.
I would say I enjoy it. Yeah.
I'm saying if I smirk a little bit, then I can be forgiven because these people have done horrible things. And obviously, this guy literally said it on YouTube. We reported it to YouTube. Nothing happens. Like, he said, "Oh, I'll do it. I'll slaughter him." He said that. So these are the kind of things that
he deserves it. He deserves what he got. I can tell you that. Anyways,
that's what happened.
Okay, guys, don't do anything yourself. Or we're not encouraging anything like that.
Don't do it. Just be cool. Be cool. Our time will come. We'll have our first secular.
Don't do it, but I won't judge you.
Yeah. Okay. No, we'll judge you if you do something bad or evil.
It's not evil. Hey, if you take out, what do you talk about? If you take out an SS agent as in France while you're taken over by Germany, okay, I think that's justified violence. We have such a thing as justified violence, right? So
but this guy's not there yet. Yeah, but no. Yeah, it's still a bit tricky though because we if we believe in in the law of the land and we can't be judge, jury, executioner. These are some basic.
I do believe in the law of the land when the law of the land is being enforced. But like where it's actually being enforced.
Yeah, I know. I get that. It's a bit complicated, but it's easier to say.
If the law of the land is being appropriately enforced, I wouldn't celebrate stuff like this. You know what I mean? I'd be like, in Iran, for example, if you do anything violent against the besiegers, I wouldn't like law of the land. Fuck the law of the land. Have you seen the law of the land? Like maybe in Canada or in the United States or in UK, I would be like, yeah, the law of the land.
Yeah,
In
but
Iran,
then,
I'm
but
like,
but then the critics say that, okay, well, you respect the Western laws, or that system is good for
Yeah, I
you. But yeah, and I do too. But then they say, well, we have our laws. We don't respect yours. We respect ours.
Fuck your law. No, fuck your laws. Of course I respect our laws because our laws are
Fuck 'em.
superior to yours. Your laws are shit. Fuck
Yeah,
your,
that's what
I
I
piss
say.
on your laws. Yeah.
Fair enough. That's what I say too. Fuck them all.
Yeah.
What was the Spartacus movie? It was the TV show Spartacus. She goes, "I'll kill them all." I said, "Fuck them all."
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, let's wrap it up.
All right, guys. Like and subscribe. Bye.